The story begins with a young man wakes up in a bed with a bandage on his nose. He sits up and looks at his bandaged hands in shock. He asks himself if he is still alive. He looks around the quiet room and then walks to the window. Outside, he sees a large building called Campus Medical Hospital. Many students are walking around the grounds. The boy is confused because he remembers the world being destroyed. He looks in a mirror and realizes he has returned to his university days, 10 years in the past. A system screen appears in the air in front of him. The screen says that the power of gluttony fusion is complete. He checks a phone on the desk, which shows the date is the 16th of May 2157. He stands in the room and looks at the glowing screen. He realizes he has returned to a time 3 years before the first Demon King appears. In the year 2160, a powerful being known as the Demon King Wrath appears. Massive purple tentacles emerge from the ground and destroy the city. Wrath opens the gates of hell, allowing other demon kings to enter the human world. The world is shown in flames and ruins. A dark silhouette stands over a pile of wreckage holding a lifeless body. Si Chen remembers losing everything in this war. Now back in the past, he looks at his open palms. He clenches his fist and his eyes glow red. He vows to defeat Wrath and stop the gates of hell from opening to change the future. A system screen floats in the air in front of him. It says the power of gluttony fusion is complete. Si Chen touches the screen. A status window appears showing his name and level. Although he is level 1, all of his stats, including strength and speed, are at 100. He explains that in this world, only 1 in 10,000 people can awaken special powers. A chart shows different classes, such as Star Mages, Flame Warriors, and Lightning Assassins. Si Chen is currently a student at the National University for Awakened Powers. The campus consists of several large, modern buildings where students with potential are trained. Si Chen stares at a digital card displaying the Lightning Assassin class. He recognizes this as his class from his previous life. He wonders if he has awakened his powers early. He clenches his fist, and yellow electricity sparks around his hand. A system message appears that says, "Class change loading." The door opens, and a student named Ma Long enters. Ma Long wears glasses and a brown sweater. A text box identifies him as an E-rank flower chanter. Ma Long is shocked to see Si Chen standing. He explains that Si Chen was beaten severely the day before. Ma Long touches Si Chen's arm and notices that all of his injuries have disappeared. Si Chen looks at his friend and remembers that Ma Long died early during the future demon invasion. Ma Long adjusts his glasses and asks if Si Chen has grown stronger. He then suddenly remembers that a ranking test is scheduled for the next day. Ma Long grabs Si Chen and pushes him toward the door. He tells Si Chen they must go and prepare for the test. Si Chen and Ma Long walking across the campus during a bright sunset. Other students play basketball and soccer in the background. Si Chen looks at the crowd and says it has been a long time since he saw living people. Ma Long looks at him with a confused expression. Si Chen looks up at the sky and remembers a dark, destroyed city from his previous life. He thinks to himself that he must find a plan to rank up quickly. Si Chen explains that major guilds control the dungeons, making it hard for others to get stronger. Si Chen views his system screen, which shows 100 points in every category. He looks at a chart showing the ranks from E to S. He notes that most students never move past E rank. While they are walking, a basketball flies through the air and hits Ma Long directly in the face. Ma Long falls to the ground with a loud thud and groans in pain. Si Chen looks over and sees a group of muscular students sitting on some stone steps. One man wearing a black tank top and dog tags smiles mockingly at them. He tells them he is surprised they recovered so quickly from their previous injuries. He tells his friends that the two boys can endure a lot of pain. The leader looks down with a smug expression and asks why they did not bring him cases of drinks. Ma Long bows his head and offers to go buy the drinks immediately. Si Chen stands calmly, with one hand in his pocket. He stops Ma Long and tells him it is not his fault. He states that the bullies are the ones who should be apologizing. As he stares at the group, his memories from the past begin to return. The student holds Si Chen's head underwater in a sink. Si Chen struggles and gasps for air. Ma Long sits on the floor nearby, looking terrified. He reaches out a hand and begs the bullies to stop. The leader smiles and claims he is trying to help Si Chen awaken his dormant powers. The other students stand in the doorway and laugh. Si Chen loses consciousness and falls to the floor. The bullies lose interest and walk out of the room, leaving him there. Ma Long rushes to Si Chen's side and calls out his name. Si Chen reflects on the cruelty he experienced from other humans. The scene shifts back to the present day on the campus. Gongcheng looks at Si Chen with a confused expression. Ma Long trembles and cries behind him. Gongcheng activates his power, and his right arm transforms into a glowing green stone. He is an E-rank flower warrior. Si Chen stares back with glowing red eyes. He thinks to himself that Gongcheng only bullies people because his older brother is the student council president. A group of students watches the fight from a distance. They point at Xichen and Ma Long, calling them the most useless students in the school. Gongcheng becomes angry and yells. He swings his large stone fist towards Xichen's face. Xichen stands his ground and raises his arm. He blocks the punch, creating a bright flash of light. The impact makes a loud sound. Xichen does not move from his spot. Gongcheng pulls his arm back and looks at it in pain. The students cannot believe that Xichen blocked a hit from a flower warrior. Xichen stands calmly while Gongcheng yells at him in a rage. Behind them, Ma Long looks on with a terrified expression. Gongcheng clenches his teeth and calls Xichen a weakling. Xichen looks down and watches as yellow electricity begins to spark around his fingers. He decides to test his new powers on the bully. A digital screen appears in the air, flashing the words, "Job switching." The screen updates to, "Job switch complete." Xichen is now a level 1 electric assassin. Massive bolts of yellow lightning erupt from his body, and his eyes glow with a golden light. His digital stat card shows his speed and strength doubling and tripling. Ma Long is overwhelmed with shock and asks when Xichen awakened his powers. Gongcheng becomes even more furious. He activates a skill called Indestructible Demon Armor, causing his stone arm to grow larger and develop sharp spikes. He screams that he will give Xichen a killer jab and lunges forward with a massive punch. Xichen moves with incredible speed, ducking under the giant stone fist. While low to the ground, Xichen delivers a powerful, lightning-infused punch directly into Gongcheng's chin. Xichen's punch sends Gongcheng flying backward through the air. The surrounding students scream and hold their faces in shock. Ma Long stares with wide eyes and his mouth open. Gongcheng crashes onto the ground and slides across the pavement. He looks up with a bloody face and yells at his friends to help him. The silver-haired student stands still, sweating and trembling with fear. Xichen stands in the center of the track, surrounded by bright yellow electricity. Gongcheng jumps into the air for a final attack, raising his stone fist. Xichen reaches up and catches Gongcheng's wrist with one hand. Electricity sparks at the point of contact. Xichen's eyes glow with a bright yellow light as he looks at the bully. He tells Gongcheng that he is too weak. Xichen then slams Gongcheng into the ground with a massive lightning strike. The force of the impact creates a large shockwave and a cloud of dust. Gongcheng's body bounces off the ground and hits the stone steps of the bleachers. Gongcheng lies unconscious against the cracked stone bleachers, covered in blood and bruises. Ma Long kneels on the grass nearby, sweating and shouting in shock at Xichen's power. Xichen stands calmly and looks down at the blood on his hand. He opens his digital status window. It shows he is still level 1, with 100 points in every stat. Xichen realizes that while his electric assassin form is strong enough to defeat low-level enemies, his stats did not increase after the fight. He determines that he needs a new way to gain experience. Xichen generates a sharp blade of yellow electricity from his hand. He begins walking toward the injured Gongcheng. The surrounding students look on with terrified faces, and Ma Long begs him to wait. Xichen ignores them and stands over the bully. His eyes glow with a fierce yellow light as he wonders if he must use the same violent methods from his past life to grow stronger. Xichen holds a blade of yellow lightning to Gongcheng's throat while grabbing his shirt. A blonde woman named Ling Yu, the vice president of the student council, walks toward them. She tells Xichen to stop, stating that the punishment he has given is enough. Xichen looks at her with a serious expression and then lets Gongcheng go. Gongcheng quickly runs away from the area. The crowd of students looks on in fear. Some say they will never provoke Xichen again. Xichen and Ma Long walk away together. Ling Yu watches them leave with a calm smile. Later that night, in the student dormitory, Ma Long is shouting and waving his arms. He tells his roommates that Xichen has awakened powerful lightning abilities and defeated the gang. The roommates, Xiang Zuo and Xiang Yu, are both E-rank awakeners. They do not believe Ma Long's story. Xiang Zuo grabs Ma Long by the head and tells him to stop talking nonsense. He argues that if Xichen were really that strong, he would not be out doing basic fitness training like running. They conclude that Ma Long was beaten so badly that he is now hallucinating. Xiang Zuo creates a small, glowing ball of red energy in his palm. He states that he is a nucleus mage and the only combat class in the room. He looks in the mirror and flexes his arm. He says that Xichen is too weak to be an assassin. He reminds everyone that the final rank test is tomorrow. In the E-rank training demon lair, a jagged portal of orange fire glows between two stone pillars. A man with light hair named Gong Ting walks out of the flames. Ling Yu follows behind him as several students bow. Gongcheng waits for them nearby. His entire head, nose, and arms are covered in white bandages. He looks up at his older brother. He tells Gongting that Xichen bullied him in front of other students. Gongting looks down at his brother with a serious face. He promises to handle the situation himself. After that, Gongting and Ling Yu sit at a large, formal dining table. Gongting cuts a piece of steak with a knife. Lingyu explains that fewer than 10 people in the school have reached D rank. She tells him that others do not have the same access to demon lairs that he does. On the other side, Si-Chen is running through a heavy rainstorm at night. He is wearing a blue jacket and carrying 100 kilograms weights. He is completing a 20 kilometers run. Sweat and rain drip down his face as he focuses on his breathing. He believes that a strong physical body is necessary to use his electric assassin powers. A flashback shows the world in the year 2160. Massive purple tentacles emerge from the clouds and destroy buildings. Si-Chen kneels on the ground in the rain, holding his sister's body. She has been killed by the Demon King Wrath. Back in the present, Si-Chen stands in the rain with glowing red eyes. He declares that his first goal is to kill Wrath, to prevent the destruction of the world. His phone vibrates in his pocket. He sees an incoming call from his sister, Si-Yun. He puts an earbud in his ear and answers the call. Si-Chen stands still in the middle of the empty track. Si-Yun's voice comes through the phone. She asks why he called her many times today. She explains that she was at a competition and her phone was dead. She tells him that if she wins a prize, they can pay their rent. Si-Chen looks down at the ground and remains quiet. He thinks about how he prayed to return to the past. Si-Yun asks if it is raining on his side and why he is silent. Si-Chen smiles sadly. He tells her it is nothing and that he just wanted to hear her voice. Si-Yun is confused. She says they spoke only 2 days ago. She says goodbye and tells him to wait for good news. Si-Chen looks up at the dark sky. He turns around and begins to run again. He says he needs 3 more laps. He returns to his dorm room after 8 hours in the past. Si-Chen stands in the shower, looking at his reflection in the steam. He notes that while his body is younger and physically weaker than before, he is gradually adapting to it. Later, Si-Chen sits on the edge of his bed, wearing a black robe. He reflects on the difficulty of leveling up, as major guilds control all the demon lairs. He wonders how he will find monsters to fight and what the true nature of the power of gluttony is. As he begins to sleep, a red digital system message appears in the darkness. It shows a loading bar with the words, "System booting." Once the loading is complete, a screen flashes, "Gluttony system start." Si-Chen suddenly finds himself falling through a bright pink and red void. He performs a mid-air flip and lands on one knee on a red, watery surface. He looks up to see a massive, dark tower covered in thorns stretching into a purple sky. He wondered how he arrived in this strange place while he was supposed to be sleeping. He looks at the massive tower stretching into the dark, purple sky. Low growling sounds come from the darkness. Large, pale monsters with skull heads and glowing blue eyes emerge from the water. A system identifies them as E-rank death hounds. The hounds surround Si-Chen, baring their teeth. Yellow lightning begins to spark around Si-Chen's right hand. He watches the monsters as his powers activate, saying, "Loading switching class." Si-Chen realizes he is inside a demon lair. Si-Chen completes his class switch to become a lightning assassin. His hair is messy, and his eyes glow with a bright yellow light. Electricity sparks all over his body. 3 death hounds lunge at him at the same time. Si-Chen moves with extreme speed and slashes through the monsters with his hands. One hound's skull head shatters into small pieces upon impact. A digital notification appears showing that he obtained 3 Death Forest items. Si-Chen thinks to himself that these E-rank monsters are very easy to defeat. He watches as 4 separate experience point notifications for plus 52 EXP pop up on the screen. A large glowing level up banner appears above his head. Si-Chen's status updates, showing he is now level 2. He realizes that this place allows him to gain experience and increase his power quickly. He views his digital status window. He is level 2, and all his stats have increased by 5 points. He smiles and realizes he has found a dungeon he can raid by himself. A large boss monster appears behind him. It is a massive hound with a skull for a head and red glowing eyes. The monster opens its mouth to reveal sharp teeth. Si-Chen turns around and attacks with yellow electricity. He slashes through the monster's neck, causing blood to spray across the screen. A notification shows that he earned 320 experience points from the kill. A glowing level up banner appears. Si-Chen is now level 3. A victory screen displays his loot. 18 Death Forest Fangs and 1 Death Forest Crystal. Si-Chen checks his stats again. His speed has increased to 330. He notes that boss monsters provide much more experience than common monsters. He is pleased with how quickly he is becoming stronger. He stands over the body of the defeated boss monster. A red system window appears above the hound's head. The text in the window says, "Devourable." Si-Chen looks at the screen with surprise. He wonders if this is the true power of his gluttony system. He reaches out his right hand toward the corpse. A bright red and white light erupts from his palm. A massive red energy vortex forms above the monster and begins to pull the body inside. Si-Chen clenches his fist as the red energy swirls around him. A digital message appears that says, "Finished." A card showing the boss monster appears in front of him. The card grants him a new ability called Frost Physique. This ability provides immunity to cold and increases all resistances in low temperatures. Si-Chen is shocked to see that the entire monster has been absorbed into a single card. He holds a glowing blue digital card in his hand. He looks at it with a serious expression. He realizes that he can absorb defeated enemies and turn them into new classes for himself. This is the Demon King Lan Yu. Every person is born with only one class and specific weaknesses. This is an unchangeable law of their world. However, Si-Chen now holds two digital cards, Lightning Assassin and Frost Cloud Warrior. He possesses two classes at the same time. He looks up and realizes that if he continues to devour monsters, he can obtain infinite classes. Si-Chen looks at the massive, thorny tower in the distance. He wonders why he was given this unique power and what the purpose of the demonic tower is. He suddenly stops as he feels a heavy pressure. The monster appears inside a large burst of purple flames. The monster carries a massive sword on its back. He speaks, saying it has been waiting for Si-Chen for a long time. The government's ranking system for warriors, ranging from E rank up to S rank. A vision of the past shows Si-Chen being thrown through the air by a powerful force. He is covered in blood and groaning in pain. He remembers that reaching S rank in his previous life nearly killed him. Si-Chen is tired and breathes heavily. He holds a glowing yellow lightning sword in his hand. He realizes his power level is only D rank. The monster stands in a sea of red liquid. The monster is an S-rank boss with two large purple blades. Si-Chen is confused because the monster knows his name. The monster attacks with a large, curved blade. Si-Chen moves quickly to avoid the hit. The monster hits Si-Chen in the chest, and Si-Chen yells in pain. Si-Chen lies face down on the red surface. The monster looks down at Si-Chen and asks if he is still struggling. Si-Chen is heavily injured. He looks at the monster and thinks that it wants him to submit. The monster asks Si-Chen to stay and guard the tower. It calls this a rare opportunity. Si-Chen looks at the monster with a determined expression. He says he will never stay in this place. Suddenly, a purple energy blade slashes through the air. A large amount of blood sprays from Si-Chen's shoulder. He looks down at his wound in shock. The monster becomes angry. It points its purple sword at him. He says he has been patient because Si-Chen is the only one who can enter this lair. Ghostly skulls erupt from the red water all around them as Si-Chen stands alone as the purple light fills the sky. Digital messages on the screen show the monster's strength and stamina increasing. Massive rocks begin to lift off the ground and float in the air around the entity. The monster looks at Si-Chen and gives him an ultimatum: stay or be crushed into a pulp. Si-Chen grits his teeth and declares that he chooses to kill the monster. Si-Chen transforms into a streak of yellow light and lunges forward with incredible speed. The monster swings its large purple blades, calling Si-Chen's actions ridiculous. Rocks shatter as Si-Chen and the monster clash in the center of the wasteland. Si-Chen watches the monster carefully during their exchange. He analyzes the monster's combat patterns. He notes that the monster has a 0.4-second wind-up time before every swing of its purple blades. Si-Chen observes the angle of the monster's wrist to predict the path of the attack. He leaps into the air and dodges the large glowing blade. Si-Chen identifies another opening. He sees that the monster has a 0.2-second recovery lag after it strikes. He determines that the monster is defenseless during this short moment. Si-Chen focuses his yellow electricity and lunges forward. He thrusts his lightning-infused hand directly into the center of the monster's chest. A massive explosion of yellow lightning erupts as he attempts to pierce the monster's heart. A digital notification appears above the monster saying status, paralyzed. Si-Chen knows he cannot kill an S-rank enemy yet. He decides to use the paralysis to escape. He activates a skill called Lightning God, which surrounds his body in bright yellow electricity and increases his speed 10 times. He runs toward a small point of light in the distance. He believes the light is the exit to the lair. Si-Chen leaps through the air, but the light suddenly disappears. He lands on the red ground in shock. A large explosion of dark purple energy erupts behind him. The monster reappears from the smoke. The monster tells Si-Chen that the exit was an illusion. It reveals that this location is not actually a demon lair. The monster reveals its true form as the Purgatory Rakshasa, an S-rank 1-star warrior. The Rakshasa looks at Si-Chen and tells him that he is the one who can bring hope. Si-Chen stares back with wide eyes. He recognizes the monster's form. He remembers that Demon King Lan Yu had the same appearance in his previous life. In his flashback, the battlefield filled with bright orange explosions and streaks of yellow lightning. During the final battle of his past life, the enemy switched between many powerful classes easily. A third monster appears as a green, vine creature with multiple glowing red eyes. Finally, a blindingly bright light appears in the shape of a person, with many glowing orbs behind its head. The Rakshasa has the same large horns, skeletal chest, and glowing blue energy. Si-Chen realizes he is facing a direct form of the greatest demon he ever knew. He realizes that this entire world exists inside his own body because of the power of gluttony. The Rakshasa smiles and praises Si-Chen's intelligence. He tells Si-Chen that he is worthy of the tower's secrets. A golden key with a large red jewel appears in the air. A system box identifies it as the SSS-Rank Key of the Void. The description says it is the only way to open the demonic tower. The Rakshasa holds the key in his clawed hand. The Rakshasa explains that the former demon king, MANHUA, devoured many powerful demons in the past. He reveals that the strongest of those demons are currently sealed inside the tower. The Purgatory Rakshasa offers him a golden key. He takes the key of the void while asking why the monster is choosing to help him. The Rakshasa explains his motive. He says that the other demon kings slaughtered his entire race to satisfy their greed. He states he has waited an eternity for a chance at revenge. He looks at Si-Chen and says that another mysterious person was correct about him being the only hope. Si-Chen looks confused and asks who the monster is talking about. The Rakshasa points toward the massive, dark tower in the distance. He tells Si-Chen that all the answers he seeks are hidden inside. Suddenly, the Rakshasa begins to glow with a brilliant blue and white light. He starts to dissolve into glowing particles. He tells Si-Chen to take his power and use it to make the demon kings pay. It tells Si-Chen he must become unstoppable and open the demonic tower. It warns him that the demons inside are vicious and will not be easy to defeat. A dark silhouette of several demon kings appears in a red void. The Rakshasa tells him he must conquer and devour every one of them to reach the top of the world. The monster's head breaks into small, glowing pieces. Its last few fragments float in the air. The Rakshasa says that only a person with strong resolve is worthy of its power. Si-Chen stands on the red surface as the monster's energy floats in the air. He raises his hand to absorb the purple light. A large notification flashes, devouring level up. Si-Chen is surrounded by bright yellow energy. His level increases to 10. A victory screen appears showing he obtained 2 items called Rakshasa's Underworld Bone. Si-Chen looks down at his fist and says he will carry the monster's will. A digital message says devouring complete. A card for the Purgatory Rakshasa appears. It shows the monster is a star warrior with skills called Bone Grip Ruin and Triple Gravity Strike. Si-Chen says he will make his enemies pay in blood. Back in his dormitory, a window with bright sunlight shining through. A loud voice tells everyone to wake up and get up. He sits up in his bunk and looks toward the floor. His roommates get dressed in the background. He looks at his hands and chest, noting that all his injuries from the previous night have vanished. He wonders if the battle was just a dream. He opens his system window. It shows he is now level 10. All his base stats have increased to 150. The Purgatory Rakshasa card and other loot are visible in his inventory. Si-Chen realizes he gained 9 levels in one night. He contemplates what his current rank would be in the government system. His roommate, Xiangzuo, walks over and leans towards Si-Chen. Xiangzuo has a mocking smile and mentions that Ma Long called Si-Chen a powerhouse. Ma Long stands nearby, looking nervous. Xiangzuo glares at Si-Chen and asks if he is trying to take over as the top student in the dorm. Si-Chen stares back as Xiangzuo tells them the rank test is about to start and leaves. After that, they walked down the campus stairs while eating bread. He explains to the group that each rank is divided into low, mid, and high tiers. A digital chart appears, showing that while most students are in the low E tier, the peak rank among current students is mid D tier. Xiangzuo claims he is in the mid E tier and is stronger than 10 low-tier students. Ma Long turns to Si-Chen and encourages him to aim for D rank to intimidate their rivals. They arrive at a large outdoor plaza where a giant screen announces the National Awakener University official rank test ceremony. A large crowd of students in uniforms has already gathered. In the hallway, 2 aggressive students shove a smaller boy against the wall. Ma Long recognizes them as Gong Cheng's followers and suggests staying away. The 2 bullies suddenly begin to sweat and look very afraid. They bow their heads low to the ground and call him Big Brother Si-Chen. The roommates, Xiangzuo and Ma Long, watch this with wide eyes and open mouths. Xiangzuo is shocked and realizes that Ma Long's stories about Si-Chen's power might be true. Si-Chen continues walking calmly and does not look back at the bowing students. Suddenly, a man with blue-gray hair named Jiang Jian approaches Si-Chen. Text identifies him as a student council officer. Jiang Jian smiles mockingly and mentions the incident Si-Chen had with Gong Cheng. He reminds Si-Chen that Gong Cheng is the younger brother of the student council president, Gong Ting. Ma Long and Xiangzuo hide behind a nearby wall. They explain that Jiang Jian is a D-rank powerhouse and the president's assistant. They are worried that he is now targeting Si-Chen. Jiang Jian leans in very close to Si-Chen's ear. He tells Si-Chen that he can smell the scent of a true powerhouse from a mile away. He then insults Si-Chen, saying he only smells like a permanent bottom feeder. Si-Chen looks at Jiang Jian and asks if he is a dog. Jiang Jian's face turns bright red with anger as he screams at Si-Chen. His eyes are wide and his teeth are clenched as he demands to know what Si-Chen said. Just as the tension peaks, Gong Ting steps forward and tells him to stop. He explains that he has investigated the fight. He admits that his brother, Gong Cheng, was at fault and deserved the consequences. Si Chen and Gong Ting share a long, silent stare. Both look very serious as they observe each other. In the main stage of the National Awakener University, a man announces that the assessments are about to begin. He instructs the students to proceed to the stage in order of their ID numbers. On the other side, the silhouettes of two people are seen standing in a high-rise office. They look out of a large window at the ceremony below, wondering if any interesting students will appear this time. Lingyu sips tea from a white porcelain cup and looks ahead with a calm smile. 1 hour passes at the National Awakener University. The announcer calls for the next student, Xiang Zuo. Ma Long stands in the crowd and cheers with his arm raised. Xiang Zuo looks nervous but determined as he walks toward the glowing blue portal on the stage. Xiang Zuo steps through the light and enters a dark room. Thick black wires hang from the ceiling and connect to a mechanical heart in the center. This is the magical core. The eye on the core is closed. The assessment requires the student to hit this core with their full power so it can absorb the energy. Xiang Zuo clenches his teeth and yells loudly. He raises his hands as a large ball of orange fire forms above him. He shoots a powerful beam of fire directly at the mechanical eye. A massive explosion occurs, and the room fills with bright light. They make a loud buzzing sound. A digital screen shows the E for the current rank. The scientist confirms the student is E rank, mid-tier. In the crowd, Ma Long shouts with excitement. He says the main event is starting. Then, the screen shows a new category for potential. White digital lines flash and move across the blue display and stop to form the letter C. A final summary box appears. It lists the current rank as E rank, mid-tier, and the max potential as C rank. Xiang Zuo is disappointed that his rank did not improve. He sits on the stone steps and puts his head in his hands. Ma Long puts a hand on his shoulder to comfort him. He says they will likely have even worse scores than him. The assessment results for the roommates appear on the screen. Xiang, Yu, and Ma Long are both E rank, low tier with C rank potential. Xiang Zuo is E rank, mid-tier with C rank potential. All three students look dejected. Suddenly, the screen flashes with a new result. A student achieves D rank with B rank potential. The three roommates stare at the screen with wide eyes and open mouths. Some time passes. Jiang Jian walks out of the blue assessment portal. He is laughing and looks very confident. The screen shows his result. D rank, low tier with A rank potential. The roommates look even more upset. They note that 8 students have already reached D rank today. 2 scientists look at a digital tablet. They are surprised, because there are many talented students this year. Usually, only 2 or 3 students reach D rank during the ceremony. The announcer calls for the next student, Gong Ting. The student council president walks toward the stage. The crowd watches closely as it is finally his turn to enter the portal. They call him the heir to a powerful guild and the top student. Rumors say he reached D rank 2 years ago. The students wonder if he will break the school record. Inside the dark room, the mechanical heart thumps loudly. Its blue eye is wide open. Gong Ting reaches his hand toward the core. He decides to hold back some of his power. He wants to save his full strength for the graduation battle to make a bigger impression. Even while holding back, he plans to stay at the top of the school. Gong Ting's eye suddenly glows with a bright orange light. Outside, the digital screen flickers with white and yellow energy. The scientist with the mustache looks shocked as he watches the colors change. The screen finally stops and displays the results. Gong Ting is ranked as a high-tier D rank. His potential is an S rank. The crowd is stunned by the high numbers on the board. The crowd is cheering and screaming loudly. They raise their arms in the air. Jiang Jian has his mouth wide open and shouts for the president. People say Gong Ting is the first person in the school's history with S-rank potential. Ma Long looks very shocked and clenches his fists. Si Chen standing nearby was calm. The scientists on stage discuss the results. They decide to report this news to the higher-ups immediately. An S-rank potential is very rare and will be protected by the government. Gong Ting walks out of the portal area. The students around him clap and cheer. High up in a skyscraper, the headmaster asks Ling Yu if she came to watch Gong Ting. She looks out the window and says she did not come just for him. She states she is more interested in Si Chen's results than Gong Ting's. The announcer calls Si Chen for his rank assessment. Jiang Jian leans in close and laughs mockingly at Si Chen. He tells him to make his dorm look good and calls his roommates a group of losers. Ma Long looks angry and shouts back at the bully, telling him to wait and see. Si Chen walks toward the glowing blue portal without saying a word. He enters the dark testing chamber where the mechanical heart hangs from the ceiling. The core's single eye opens wide. Si Chen reaches his hand toward it, his eyes glowing with red light. The graduation combat examination. This test uses 10-member teams. The team that takes first place joins the Imperial Guild. This guild is the most prestigious in the nation. Jiang Jian introduces a new student named Yan Lin to Gong Ting. Yan Lin is a low-tier D rank. Their team now has 9 students who are all D rank. They plan to add Gong Cheng to complete the group. Gong Ting looks confident as his teammates cheer for him. Nearby, Ma Long and the other roommates look small and dejected. Ma Long looks at his watch with a worried expression. He notes that Si Chen has been inside the portal for a long time, with no results. Other students walk past and mock Si Chen, calling him trash. They believe he is too weak to even register a rank. Jiang Jian tells Gong Ting that their team is full and they should go to karaoke. Gong Ting agrees and begins to walk away. Suddenly, the digital screen on the stage begins to flicker with white lines. The letter D appears on the screen. Ma Long and the roommates stare at the board with wide eyes and open mouths. They are completely shocked by the result. Ma Long shouts with joy and points at the results. Gong Ting looks surprised, while Jiang Jian stares with wide eyes and an open mouth. The board confirms Si Chen is a high-tier D rank. Inside the room, the mechanical core thumps violently and drips with sweat. A blue system message appears. It states that the core has an abnormality. The system asks the student to repeat the test because the results might be wrong. Si Chen views his digital stat screen. Every category is at 150 points. He realizes his regular body is equal to a high-tier D rank. He decides to test his weakest class first. A class change loading screen appears. Si Chen transforms into the Gravahound King. A white bone mask covers half of his face, and his right eye glows red. The rank on the screen outside changes again. It flickers and then displays mid-tier C rank. The students in the crowd scream and hold their heads in disbelief. Jiang Jian yells that the machine must be broken. The scientists sweat and wonder if there is a system error. The core inside the room thumps even harder. Si Chen realizes his other classes will be even stronger than C rank. He triggers another class change. He becomes the Abyssal Fiend. He now has red horns and glowing blue eyes. Purple energy swirls around his body. The mechanical core thumps faster and drips with sweat. Outside, a massive purple storm forms in the sky. Clouds swirl in a large circle and lightning flashes. The roommates huddle together in fear. They believe an earth-shattering monster has been born. The digital screen on the stage begins to glitch with colorful lines. A large yellow S appears under the potential rank. The mustache scientist screams in shock. He asks if there is another S-rank student in the school. Gong Ting looks toward the stage with a worried face. A red warning sign flashes on the screen. It says, "System error." A message states that the system cannot determine the rank because the power is too high. Jiang Jian screams with his eyes wide and his mouth open. Suddenly, the testing room explodes with a giant boom. Fire and blue energy fill the stage. The two scientists run toward the smoke in a panic. They shout that the core is overloading and they must check for danger. Si Chen's eyes glow with a bright cyan light as he activates the skill. Green digital hexagons appear over the heads of the surrounding students, identifying them as E rank. He looks at Gong Ting and sees a pink hexagon indicating mid-tier C rank. Si Chen notes that the president was also hiding his true power. The scientists announce that the ranking assessments are suspended and will continue tomorrow. Ma Long and Xiang Zuo are very excited and praise Si Chen for being a genius. However, Jiang Jian approaches them in a rage. He screams at Si Chen, waving his arms and getting very close to his face. He blames Si Chen for breaking the machine and wasting the student council's time. Si Chen clenching his fist as yellow electricity begins to spark around his hand. He considers attacking Jiang Jian. Gong Ting intervenes and tells Jiang Jian to stop being rude. Gong Ting then turns to Si Chen and personally invites him to join his elite team for the graduation combat examination. Jiang Jian is frustrated because the team is already full. He realizes he will have to remove another member to make room for Si Chen. He reaches out and places a hand on Si Chen's shoulder to welcome him. Si Chen quickly slaps the hand away and says he is not interested in joining. Gong Ting and Jiang Jian are stunned by the rejection. Jiang Jian shouted that their team is the strongest in the entire school. Si Chen looks back and tells Jiang Jian that he is too loud and demands that they never bother him again. Jiang Jian screams with anger, and a small flame comes out of his mouth. Students whisper that he is brave for rejecting the student council president. Si Chen walks away with a calm look. Ma Long and the other roommates hide nearby, looking surprised by Si Chen's actions. Gong Ting stands still and watches Si Chen leave. Headmaster Yuan Long and Ling Yu watch from a large window in a high-rise building. Ling Yu smiles and says the situation is becoming interesting. She states that Gong Ting was born into a wealthy family and that Si Chen's rejection is a declaration of war. Gong Ting looks down at the ground. He wonders if the power assessment was actually correct. Jiang Jian stands next to him and looks very angry. He offers to fight Si Chen to teach him a lesson. Gong Ting looks at him with a stern face and asks if he thinks he is a petty person. Gong Ting then turns away and tells the team he is no longer in the mood for karaoke. He tells Jiang Jian that his future actions are not his responsibility. Jiang Jian smiles broadly. He is happy to have permission to act. 10 minutes later, a silver-haired student tells Jiang Jian that Si Chen has left the school to go home. Jiang Jian crushes a blue soda can with his foot. He looks very excited to ambush Si Chen off campus. Si-chen walks along a fence with white earbuds in his ears. He looks calm as he remembers the past. A flashback shows a group of warriors standing before a giant, glowing pink eye. This is the monster, Wrath. Massive tan tentacles with multiple red eyes emerge from the ground and destroy the guild. Si-chen explains that Wrath eventually descended upon the human world. Back in the present, Si-chen stands on a cracked street. He has a plan to find Wrath's location, but he needs a large amount of money to begin. He arrives at a large, classical-style white building with a sign that reads, Mithril Monster Exchange. He enters the Mithril Monster Exchange building. He stands in a room filled with axes, shields, and swords. He places several sharp monster fangs on the service counter. A clerk looks at the fangs with confusion. Another girl clerk named Miss Lee identifies them as Gravahound fangs. The male clerk looks annoyed and dismissive. He explains that the exchange only deals with high-end goods for powerful warriors. He calls the E-rank fangs junk and walks away to the back of the shop. He tells Miss Lee to handle the rest of the order. Si-chen looks at his phone and sees a notification for 18,000. He says this is enough money to pay his rent. Si-chen then raises his hand. Pink digital squares and purple light form in his palm. He pulls a massive, jagged purple sword out of the air. She stares at the glowing weapon. She believes the great sword is a rare A-rank item. The clerk mocks Miss Lee, stating that A-rank weapons are worth millions and very rare. Suddenly, a man named Ching Ji enters the room. He looks at the weapon and tells the clerk that the equipment is not A-rank or B-rank. He identifies it as an S-rank piece of equipment from the Abyssal Lands. The clerk is terrified. His face turns dark, his eyes bulge, and he screams in shock. Qingji quickly walks over to Si-chen and clasps his hand in a firm handshake. He tells Si-chen it is an honor to have his business and invites him to the VIP lounge. Si-chen looks at Qingji calmly and realizes he is the leader of the Mithril Guild. In the VIP lounge, they sit on ornate green couches with gold trim. Qingji asks how much Si-chen wants for the weapon. Si-chen looks at him with red eyes and says, 1 million. Qingji is stunned and explains that the sword is worth tens of millions. Si-chen explains that he only wants to use the sword as collateral for a loan. He promises to pay the million back in 1 month. Qingji was impressed by the student's wisdom and confidence. Si-chen sits on a luxury couch and sips from a small cup. Qingji watches him and thinks that he is not an ordinary man. Si-chen offers to repay the loan in 1 month with 10% interest. Qingji tells Miss Lee to step outside so they can speak privately. Qingji adjusts his glasses and smiles. He identifies Si-chen as a student from the National Awakener University. He explains that the school's graduation exam is in 1 month, and the prize is 1 million. He notes that the amount and the date perfectly match Si-chen's repayment plan. Qingji realizes Si-chen is in urgent need of money. He makes a new offer. He tells Si-chen he will loan him 1.5 million in cash immediately. He says there will be 0 interest for the first month. Qingji stands up and reaches his hand out to Si-chen. He says he wants to be friends. Si-chen listens silently as Qingji promises to keep their discussion confidential. Qingji smiles and asks Si-chen to consider his exchange facility for all future trades. Si-chen observes the guild leader and is impressed by his ability to analyze the situation. He decides that he needs trustworthy allies to help him eliminate the Demon King Wrath. The two men shake hands in the center of the bright office. Qingji places his hand on a magic scroll, and a yellow circular seal glows with electricity. A notification on Si-chen's phone confirms that 1.5 million has been transferred to his account. Qingji asks what weapon Si-chen will use for the graduation exam now that his S-rank sword is being used as collateral. He offers to lend Si-chen A-rank or B-rank equipment from the shop. Si-chen says there is no need for a loan. He raises his left hand, and pink digital squares appear in the air. He summons a second purple and gray greatsword that is identical to the first one. Si-chen holds the glowing weapon calmly. Qingji and his assistants are shown screaming and gasping in total disbelief. Si-chen walks out of the store while Qingji promotes Miss Lee to supervisor for her good service. Si-chen takes a yellow taxi to the Changchang County long-distance bus terminal. He stands outside the large building. A flashback shows him in his past life as a non-awakened worker, struggling to pay rent. His sister Si-yun, comforting him as they look at a bank balance of only $105.60. Si-yun is shown looking at an acceptance letter from the International Central Art Institute before tearing it into pieces. She cries and says she wants to stay near her brother. In the present, Si-chen waits by the fence until he hears a loud shout of, "Bro!" He turns his head as someone runs toward him. Si-chen hugs his sister very tightly. She looks shocked and wide-eyed. Si-chen smiles gently while hugging his sister Si-yun. Si-yun looks annoyed and punches him in the chest. She asks if he is acting strange because of a girl. Si-chen laughs and picks up her large yellow suitcase. They walk together past a fence under a bright sky. Si-yun talks excitedly while Si-chen watches her with a calm smile. He vows to protect her in this new life. The scene shifts to a dark alleyway. Jiang Jian stands in the shadows with several masked men behind him. He looks at a map of the area and points to the path Si Chen takes to go home. He tells his group to hide and wait for the right moment to attack. He remembers Si Chen telling him to be quiet. Jiang Jian clenches his teeth and says he will destroy Si Chen so he cannot take the graduation exam. Jiang Jian's face turns a dark blue as he pulls out a glowing, jagged dagger. He calls Si Chen a poser and laughs. In the open street, Si Chen and Si Yun are walking home together. Si Yun drinks from a small carton with a cow on it. She asks if he is stressed about the graduation test. She tells him to pull himself together. Si Yun then starts singing a song about believing in yourself. Si Chen looks at his sister and thinks about how men form emotional walls. They continue walking home together. In a dark alley nearby, Jiang Jian and two masked followers watch them. Jiang Jian laughs and says it is a lucky day because the alley has no cameras. Si Chen suddenly narrows his eyes. He smells the scent of the student council members hiding ahead. He looks toward the dark corner of the street and sees their silhouettes. Si Chen reaches into his pocket and takes out two white wireless earbuds. He gently places the earbuds into his sister's ears. He tells her he has been listening to this song lately. Si Yun closes her eyes and listens to the music. She says music can show a person's mental state. Si Chen walks in front of her. His eyes glow with a bright blue light. Jiang Jian and a group of masked men walk down the dark street. Blue digital hexagons appear over their heads, showing Jiang Jian is a D-rank warrior and the others are E-rank. Si Yun continues to listen to the song. Si Chen remembers losing his sister in the year 2160. He was reborn in the year 2167. He thinks about how he has finally been reunited with his family after 7 years. Si Chen's face turns red with rage. Yellow lightning sparks around his head and body. He glares at the approaching attackers with glowing eyes and clenched teeth. Si Chen moves with incredible speed, leaving streaks of yellow lightning behind him. He lunges at men and delivers a powerful kick to one man's face. The second attacker looks on with a terrified expression. Si Yun continues to walk with her eyes closed, listening to the music through her earbuds. Si Chen moves through the crowd of enemies, punching and kicking multiple men at the same time. He dodges a swing from a wooden club and sends an attacker flying backward with a kick. He grabs an attacker's arm and snaps the bone. The man screams in agony. Si Chen then delivers a powerful punch to the man's face. The impact creates a massive explosion with the word boom. They sweat and tremble while asking how Si Chen is so powerful. He continues to move through the alley, punching and kicking the attackers. Jiang Jian screams in rage and lunges towards Si Chen with a jagged knife. He delivers a powerful, electricity-infused punch directly into Jiang Jian's face. He crashes into the pavement, creating a massive cloud of dust and an explosion sound effect. Si Chen stands over the unconscious, bleeding bully. Si Chen's eyes glow with a bright red light as he looks down at Jiang Jian and tells him that he clearly warned him never to bother him again. He holds a jagged knife to Jiang Jian's throat. He tells him to shut up and threatens to kill him if he makes a sound. Jiang Jian realizes that Si Chen is not lying and truly intends to kill him. Si Chen stands over the bodies of the defeated gang members scattered across the alley. He tells Jiang Jian to remember every word he says. He warns the group that he does not care what happens to them, but they must never bother him again. He specifically states that if they ever threaten his sister or even appear near her, he will make them disappear forever. Si Yun is still listening to the music through the earbuds. She begins to cry as she hears the lyrics. She wonders why the song makes her feel so sad and lonely. She feels as though her brother has experienced great suffering in the time they were apart. Si Chen stands on the street and hands a small red box to Si Yun. She opens the box and finds a shining golden pen inside. She looks at the gift with surprise. Si Chen looks at her with a calm smile, but his clenched fist covered in blood. In the alley, Jiang Jian and his followers lie on the ground. They are badly injured and cry out for an ambulance. Later at home, Si Yun uses the golden pen to draw in the air. A glowing pink fish made of light appears and floats around the room. Si Chen sits at a small wooden table and eats a bowl of ramen. He tells Si Yun that he has already paid the rent for the entire year. Si Chen smiles and tells her that he found a good part-time job. Si Chen sits at the table with a gentle smile on his face. Si Yun looks at him with an affectionate expression and places her hand on his shoulder. They share a happy moment together in their home. The scene then transitions to Gong Ting standing alone, silhouetted against the glowing water and swimming fish. The director of the employment office approaches Gong Ting to discuss the recent assessment. Gong Xuan looks at the fish through his glasses and confirms that Si Chen is indeed a C-rank awakener. He points out that Si Chen is now the only student in the university with a higher rank than Gong Ting. Gong Xuan mentions that there is a vacancy that needs to be filled. He tells his uncle not to worry and claims he did not use his full strength during the ranking test. Gong Ting vows to prove that he is truly the strongest student. It is 23 at the National Awakener University male dormitory. Si-chen stands in the shower with water dripping off his shoulders. He reflects on the future. He thinks about the golden trophy and the $1 million prize money for the graduation exam. He also remembers his new partnership with the guild leader, Qingji. Later, Si-chen lies in his bunk bed with his eyes closed, preparing to sleep. As he sleeps, the system message, "Gluttony System Activate," flashes on the screen. Si-chen suddenly finds himself back in the red wasteland. He stands before the massive, thorny demonic tower that reaches into the purple clouds. He looks at his updated status. He is now level 10 and ranked as a mid-tier C Awakener. He looks at the SSS-Rank Key of the Void glowing in his hand. He wonders what the interior of the demonic tower looks like. He approaches the massive stone gates and holds the key out. A blinding white and purple light erupts as the gates open. A giant swirling vortex of purple energy fills the doorway. Si-chen walks through the portal and finds himself in a new world. The area is called the Fallen Star Wastes. Suddenly, Si-chen feels immense pressure. He is forced down onto his hands and knees, struggling to breathe. He groans in pain as he realizes the gravity in this location is 10 times stronger than on Earth. A purple beast called the Phantom Lion appears on the ridge behind him. The monster is a B-rank star warrior with glowing white eyes. Si-chen struggles against the 10G gravity but manages to trigger a class switch. He becomes a level 10 lightning assassin. A yellow lightning blade forms in his hand. He leaps forward with his blade raised. He attempts to strike the monster's neck. A digital box appears with the word "miss" in large letters. The screen also notes that the vital hit and paralysis both failed. Si-chen's eyes widened in surprise. The Phantom Lion counters immediately. It lunges at Si-chen and slams him into the rocky ground with its paws. Si-chen realizes the strength of the monsters in this tower. He decides to switch his class to the Purgatory Rakshasa. A digital card shows his new stats and skills as a star warrior. He uses the heavy environment to increase his power. He begins stacking gravity to multiply the force of his attack. The percentages on the screen rise from 200 to 600%. His punch becomes 60 times more powerful. Si-chen shouts and lunges toward the Phantom Lion. The lion opens its mouth as Si-chen shouts and lunges forward, activating his super heavy mode. A massive pillar of purple and white energy erupts from his fist, shattering the ground into thousands of pieces. The impact creates a giant, circular crater in the fallen star wastes. Si-chen lies in the center of the cracked ground, breathing heavily. A notification appears showing that he earned 12,000 experience points. Another banner flashes, announcing he has reached level 11. He explains that each star on his class cards acts as a strength multiplier. His Purgatory Rakshasa class has 11 stars, while his Lightning Assassin has 9. He realizes his classes are breaking through the B-rank power limits. Si-chen stands over the glowing purple remains of the Phantom Lion. The system identifies the monster as devourable. He reaches out and absorbs the energy into his hand. In the distance, a tall gate made of purple light appears against the starry sky. Suddenly, a small dark vortex opens in the distance as several pairs of glowing white eyes appear inside the black hole. 4 more Phantom Lions leap out of the portal at the same time. Si-chen realizes that the powerful monster he just defeated with all his might was actually just a small common mob. One monster strikes Si-chen with its claws, causing blood to spray. Then, dark silhouettes show the monsters biting and clawing at Si-chen's body. A text box appears with the Rakshasa's warning. Once the door opens, what welcomes you will be endless pain. He suddenly wakes up in a bed, gasping and clutching his chest. He is covered in sweat and looks terrified. He sits up in the dark room and stares at the floor. He reflects on the intense physical pain from his dream. He looks at his hand and clenches it tightly. He states that there are no shortcuts to becoming stronger. In the Grand Auditorium on Friday, the 20th of May, 2157, about the graduation combat examination, Gong Xuan sits in a front row seat, drinking from a metal flask. The auditorium is full of students in uniforms. Several students are shown talking and whispering to each other. They discuss rumors that guild representatives are coming to scout for talent. Si-chen sits silently among the crowd. He listens as the other students talk about the high expectations for this year's results. Gong Xuan speaks to the students from a podium. The students raise their wrists to check their displays. A blue list appears in the air showing the team assignments. Xiang Zuo, Ma Long, Xiang Yu, and Si-chen are all officially ranked as low E rank. Ma Long screams in total shock. He looks at Si-chen and asks how his rank can be so low after the assessment. Nearby students point at Si-chen and laugh. They mock him and call him a loser. Si-chen stares at his wrist display with a calm expression. Gong-ting watches him from a distance, with narrowed his eyes. He clasps his hands together and smiles. He plans to teach the students a lesson and ensure the opponents have no chance to resist during the exam. The students rush across the floor to find teammates. A large group surrounds Gong-ting, shouting for his attention. They beg him to let them join his elite team. One girl with pink hair yells about her healer class. A man with a headband shouts that he will be the president's dog. Gong-ting remains silent and ignores the noise. One member of the student council tells the crowd they are too loud and only have room for one more person. Half an hour passes. Several groups of students stand together. Their wristbands glow with green light and a digital message says "Team formed." Si-chen and his 3 roommates stand alone. They look at their wrists and realize they only have 4 members. Ma Long looks angry and sweats. He says the rules require 5 people and a high D-rank leader. He believes the school is targeting their dorm. Si-chen stares ahead and realizes that more team members cause more monsters to appear. Si-chen understands that the system rewards larger teams with higher scores but also higher danger. He stands with his small group to face the final assessment. Ma Long, Xiang Yu, and Si-chen, all labeled as low E rank. A student from another group calls out to Xiang Zuo. He tells Xiang Zuo to join their team because they only need one more person. He warns Xiang Zuo that staying with the 3 trash students will make him fail the graduation assessment. Si-chen realizes his group is about to be abandoned by the rest of the school. Xiang Zuo looks down for a moment and refuses the offer, stating that his dorm roommates agreed to stay together. The other students laugh and point at them, calling them the loser team. Ma Long looks at a large list showing team statuses. Most of the slots are filled with green check marks. He sweats and points at the screen, shouting that almost all teams are already formed. He notes that there are no strong D-rank students left to join them. Si-chen turns his head, and his eyes begin to glow with a bright cyan light as he activates his new skill. Gongshuan sits alone in a dark office, plotting to protect Gong-ting's reputation by manipulating the assessment data. In the grand auditorium, Si-chen stands up and triggers his powers. A class switch notification appears, and massive bolts of yellow lightning erupt from his body. His eyes glow with a bright, intense gold light. The director and the scientists staring at the display of power. Ma Long points at Si-chen and shouts in disbelief. Si-chen stands in the center of the room, surrounded by electricity that cracks against the floor. He explains that school tradition allows students to initiate a direct challenge to display their true strength. Si-chen glares at Gong-ting, who looks back with a cold gaze. Si-chen knows that defeating the school's top student is the only way to prove his rank and force others to team up with him for the final exam. Ling Yu stands in the doorway and calls out to Si-chen. She walks toward him and asks if his team is still missing members. She offers to join his team, mentioning that she was already a D-rank student in middle school. Ma Long looks very happy and shouts with excitement. The surrounding students whisper about Ling Yu being a genius from her previous school. Director Gong Xuan stands up and yells at Ling Yu. He points a finger and tells her she is not qualified for the assessment. He says she has never taken a rank test at this university and has no official report. He claims her participation would go against the school regulations. Suddenly, Principal Yuan Long appears behind him. The principal is surrounded by bright purple energy and streaks of light. He agrees with the director's statement. Gong Xuan looks back in shock and begins to sweat. Principal Yuan Long and Ling Yu stand in a bright purple glow. Si-chen watches them and reflects on the principal's powers. He notes that Yuan Long is a warrior but used teleportation, which is unusual. Si-chen's eyes glow with a cyan light as he tries to detect their ranks. 2 digital hexagons with question marks appear over their heads, showing that their power levels are hidden from his scan. Gongshuan speaks about the purpose of the assessment and the importance of talent. Principal Yuan Long looks at the director with a very cold. He says the school must be responsible for every student's opportunity. Gongshuan looks back in shock and begins to sweat heavily. He realizes the principal is hinting at him and protecting Si-chen. Gongshuan looks down and trembles, calling the principal an old fox in his mind. The principal speaks from the stage and announces a change in the rules. He says that teams with fewer than 5 members or teams without a D-rank leader are now allowed to register. Si-chen and his roommates join hands. Their green wristbands glow, and a digital team-formed notification appears in the air. The roommates cheer loudly and name Si-chen the captain of the squad. The headmaster and Ling Yu observe Si-chen from a distance. A scientist looks at his handheld device and is shocked by how quickly Si-chen's team submitted their choice. The surrounding students scream and look terrified as they see the selection on the main screen. Ma Long and the other roommates panic. waving their hands and shouting for Si Chen to cancel the registration. Si Chen remains perfectly still and silent. He looks at his glowing wrist display with a serious expression. The school holds the graduation battle examination. Students form teams to go into a real dungeon. Students earn points for killing small monsters and the boss. They also get points for finishing the test in less than 1 hour. An E-rank dungeon has a higher score multiplier than an F-rank dungeon. The maximum possible score is 100 points. The winning team receives an offer from the Imperial Guild. The best student gets a prize of 1 million yuan. 2 students look at a digital tablet and seem nervous. 1 student has freckles and the other student sweats. They say the highest score in school history is 90 points. They think a team needs at least 3 strong D-rank students to survive an E-rank dungeon. Gong Ting sits with his large elite team. They look very confident. A notification appears on the screen. A student with glasses looks at the display in shock. He tells the crowd that a team has already chosen their dungeon. He zooms in on the screen and realizes it is Si Chen's team. The display shows 3 difficulty levels: F, E, and D. Si Chen's profile picture is inside the D-rank box. The student is terrified because no student has ever beaten a D-rank dungeon before. Ma Long grabs Si Chen's arm and screams in his face, asking if he knows what he just did. Xiang Zuo sits on the floor, crying and holding his head in his hands. He is horrified to be on the same team as Si Chen. A notification appears on a student's wrist device. It asks for confirmation to join a D-rank dungeon. Ma Long sweats heavily and looks at the screen. He leans towards Si Chen and shouts, asking if he has fully considered the danger of a D-rank dungeon. Si Chen remains calm and looks straight. He simply states that he has thought this through. A message flashes as the choice is submitted. The main display screen updates to show 2 profiles under the D-rank difficulty, Gong Ting and Si Chen. A pink confirmation window appears, stating that all team members have confirmed the selection. A system announcement confirms that Team Gong Ting has also successfully submitted their registration. The students in the auditorium scream and cheer loudly. The student with glasses has his mouth wide open in shock. The crowd shouts that the ceremony will be very entertaining this year. Gong Ting sits in his seat with his arms crossed and his eyes closed. A female student on his team smirks and looks towards Si Chen's group. She mocks them for trying to act tough. Gong Ting's teammates laugh and point at Si Chen's group. They claim Si Chen is only looking for attention and that his team will abandon him. Ma Long looks at Si Chen from the side. He notices a powerful aura surrounding his friend. He remembers that Si Chen used to be very weak and dependent on others. Ma Long looks determined behind his glasses. He shouts that he will stay with Si Chen until the end. He raises his arm and presses a glowing green confirm button on his wrist device. Xiang Zuo also raises his arm and presses the confirm button. He looks exhausted. He states that the difficulty of the dungeon does not matter because they are already in last place. All members of the team have now accepted the D-rank assessment. A system message announces that Team Si Chen has submitted their registration successfully. Si Chen stands in the center of the auditorium with his 3 roommates. Si Chen looks down with a serious expression and speaks to his team and tells them he is sorry. He explains that he chose the high-difficulty D-rank dungeon specifically to earn the MVP title. Si Chen looks at his roommates and tells them they are aiming for the top score together. Then, Gong Ting stands at the top, looking down at Si Chen. He shouts that there can only be one strongest student in the university. Ling Yu watches from the side. She notes that she has never seen Gong Ting look so angry or determined before. The battle between the 2 students has finally become public as they glare at each other from across the room. Headmaster Yuan Long looks on with a small, knowing smile. Ling Yu looks down thoughtfully and states that Si Chen choosing a D-rank dungeon is overconfident. F rank is 1.5x, E rank is 2x, and D rank is a massive 3x with a maximum score of 150 points. A red warning sign flashes under the D rank section. Ling Yu believes Si Chen's team of 4 is not strong enough for this choice. Yuan Long notes that there is only 1 month left until the battle examination. Combat Simulation Room at 22:45. Inside, elite students wearing high-tech visors are shown training against digital monsters. Blue energy and red explosions fill the room as they practice their skills in a controlled environment. Yuan Long hopes that Si Chen's team can at least put on a decent performance. In the school stadium, Si Chen stands calmly while his 3 roommates are bent over, vomiting on the ground and stairs. There are only 17 days remaining until the examination begins. Ma Long is covered in sweat and exhausted. He asks Si Chen why they are doing physical exercises instead of using the school's monster simulator. Si Chen tells them that simulation training is not real. He explains that students will feel intense fear when they enter a real dungeon for the first time. Si-chen says that physical instincts will determine their fate, not theories drilled into the brain. He tells his roommates that they are training for endurance, power, and reaction speed to heighten those instincts. He notes that the benefits of school simulations are very small. He explains that only privileged people with high status have access to real dungeons for training. Gongting uses a bright yellow beam of energy to slice a large, white monster into 2 pieces. He explains that rich students are born with power that others can only hope to have. Si-chen says that the graduation exam is their only chance to join the Imperial Guild and surpass the elite students. Ma Long looks at Si-chen with wide eyes. Si-chen clenches his jaw, and his red eyes glow brightly. He promises his team that they will absolutely win the competition. 15 days before the exam, Si-chen enters the Starfell Wastelands inside the Tower of Darkness. He jumps through the air and fights a pack of purple phantom lions. A monster bites him on the chest, and another strikes him with a claw. 10 days before the exam, Si-chen leads his team in a long run on the school track. His roommates look very tired, and one falls face down on the grass. Inside the tower, Si-chen strikes a lion with his lightning power. At the same time, Gongting trains by slicing through enemies with a sword. 5 days before the exam, Si-chen does push-ups with a stack of heavy weights on his back. His roommates watch and count. 3 days remain, and Gongting stands calmly in a field of fire and ash. 2 days before the test, Si-chen stands on a pile of dead monsters in the starry wasteland. A system screen shows that he has reached level 16. Finally, only 1 day remains before the graduation exam begins. Si-chen has blood on his face, and his eyes glow bright yellow, and says the battle has now started. On June 17, 2157, it is the day of the graduation battle examination. Si-chen pulls on a black glove. He stands with his 3 roommates in a long corridor. They look more muscular and confident than before. A loud announcement says the exam has started. Blue light flashes behind 3 dark silhouettes on a screen. On the other side of the administration building, Headmaster Yuan Long shakes hands with a man wearing a brown coat and glasses. The man's name is Gong Lin. He is the leader of the Imperial Guild and the father of Gongting. A group of students watches from a balcony above. They look shocked to see such a powerful person on campus. A white car stops in front of the school building. Guards in black suits stand near the car. A man with pink hair steps out of the vehicle. He is Carl Cavendish, the vice chairman of the Global Guild Federation. He wears a long gray coat and adjusts his sleeve. Students on a balcony watch him and scream in shock. They cannot believe a high-ranking official is at their school. They explain that the Guild Federation is the most powerful organization in the world. Carl Cavendish walks toward the entrance with a woman. The woman is Sigrid, the Secretary General of the Federation. Inside a control room, Director Gong Xuan sits behind a desk. He looks at a large wall of video screens showing different areas of the school. Sigrid walks through a hallway with Principal Yuan Long and other staff members. The principal has a slight smile as he leads the guests. They walk past rows of monitors to observe the graduation examination. Many people follow behind the high-ranking leaders as they enter the viewing area. Students face dangerous monsters inside the graduation dungeons. A student uses a blue energy blade to strike a large water serpent called Ling Yao. In a different area, a giant sandworm with sharp teeth erupts from the water near 2 students. Inside a dark cave, several stag spiders crawl across the walls and ceiling. A student with glasses looks up and trembles with fear. In the control room, Director Gong Xuan watches the video screens. He explains that instructors are standing by at the gates to intervene if a student is in danger. A giant spider looms over a student who has fallen to the ground. The student screams and presses a button on his glowing wrist device. A red notification says, "Dropped," as he withdraws from the exam. He and his teammates are instantly teleported out of the dungeon in a flash of red light. Secretary General Sigrid watches the monitors. She notes that only 2 teams remain in the difficult D-rank dungeon. She says she is looking forward to seeing their performance. Director Gong Xuan watches the monitor. He believes the students will withdraw from the dungeon quickly. The team enters the D-rank dungeon named Cloudwood Summit. A creature crouches on a large, frozen tree branch. It is a wraithwing monkey, a D-rank monster with gray fur and long claws. Si-chen looks alert as snow falls around him. He tells his teammates to stay on guard. 3 monkeys fly down from the trees to attack. Si-chen moves with extreme speed. He creates 3 large slashes of blue energy in the air. The monsters are hit instantly and fall to the ground with a loud thud. Blood stains the white snow around their bodies. Ma Long sits in the snow and looks up in disbelief. Xiang Zuo is also shocked. He realizes that Si Chen just defeated 3 D-rank monsters by himself. Si Chen stands over a dead monster, while yellow electricity sparks around his body and the small yellow blade in his hand. Si Chen's eyes glow with a bright yellow light. His 3 teammates stand behind him. He tells his team that their current strength is not enough to handle the enemies. He tells them to stay back and protect themselves. He then lunges forward as a large bolt of yellow electricity strikes the frozen ground. He shouts for them to leave the rest of the fight to him. A student on the ground yells for the others to watch out. Another teammate slides across the ice and screams. One of Si Chen's teammates is thrown backward by an impact. Xiang Zuo finally realizes why Si Chen made them practice reaction speed and explosive power during their training. He understands that Si Chen never actually expected the team to help him fight the monsters. He concludes that the physical training was only meant to give the roommates a way to protect themselves and survive. He thinks about how he always considered himself the boss of their dormitory. He feels humiliated because he now has to rely entirely on Si Chen to carry him through the exam so he can graduate. In the background, Si Chen moves with incredible speed through the snow. He uses sharp yellow lightning blades to slice through a white, furry monster. His fast and violent attack against the remaining enemies. Giant white bat monsters fly through the snowy sky. They have human faces and open their mouths to roar. Many yellow lightning bolts strike the monsters from all sides. The electricity slices through their wings and bodies. Xiang Zuo says that as long as Si Chen is their leader, they will surely win the graduation exam. He believes in Si Chen's strength completely. He does not doubt their victory anymore. Si Chen's teammate watches him and thinks Si Chen is too strong for a regular student. He believes Si Chen is a battle-hardened warrior. In the snowy valley, many yellow lightning bolts strike the small dark monsters. The monsters fall from the sky as blood sprays out. Xiang Zuo asks himself when Si Chen became so reliable. He feels that he has been left far behind by Si Chen's great power. A monster falling from snow. One student shouts a warning that another monster is attacking from the rear. The student raises his flaming arms to block the attack. He catches the monster's limbs as sparks fly from the impact. He calls out to Xiang Yu and Ma Long. He tells them that they cannot continue to act like deadweights. He declares that they should not rely entirely on Si Chen to win the battle. Ma Long and Xiang look at each other. They realize that this exam belongs to them just as much as it belongs to Si Chen. Xiang Zuo shouts with a wide-open mouth and declares that it is their graduation assessment too. Ma Long reaches out with his right hand. A bright green light shines from his palm. He agrees with Xiang Zuo's words. Ma Long stands firmly in the snow and activates a skill called Flora Chant Vine Lock. Many long dark vines erupt from his glowing green hand and spread across the area. He yells for the monsters to taste his power. The vines lunge through the air and wrap tightly around a white monster's head and neck. The monster screams "SK-Ri" as it tears through the dark vines and breaks free. Xiang Zuo is thrown backward by a sudden blast of light and energy. He looks at the monster and his hand glows with a bright green light. He shouts that the monster broke through his trap instantly. Ma Long activates a new skill called Cloud Chant Frost Breeze. A wave of cold blue air hits the monster and begins to freeze its body in blocks of ice. Ma Long reaches out with a glowing blue hand and tells Xiang Yu that the monster is now vulnerable. He yells for them to attack together. Xiang Yu clenches his right fist, which glows with a powerful green aura. He looks at the frozen beast and says that the monster will not be able to escape this time. Ma Long and Xiang Yu combine their powers to trap the enemy. They use a combo skill called Frost Breeze and Vine Lock. The white monster is encased in large blocks of ice and wrapped tightly in thick green vines. Ma Long and Xiang Yu look toward their teammate and shout for Xiang Zuo to attack now. Xiang Zuo is the team's nuclear mage, runs forward, and holds a ball of swirling orange fire in his right hand. He pulls his arm back and throws a massive fire projectile at the trapped monster. He yells for the monster to taste his power. A large title identifies the move as Burst Flame Bullet. The giant ball of fire streaks through the air toward the frozen beast with great force. The massive fireball hits the monster directly. The monster is engulfed in flames and its white fur begins to burn. He crouches low and creates 3 smaller glowing fire bullets around his body. He shoots all 3 projectiles at the same time. He shouts that the beast is much more tanky than he expected. The fire bullets streak through the air and hit the monster's chest and wings. Each hit creates a new explosion. Xiang Yu reaches out his hand as green light glows from his palm. He shouts that he can no longer hold the monster back. Next to him, Ma Long looks very stressed as blue energy sparks around his hand. He grits his teeth and yells that he has reached his limit. High above them, Xiangzuo jumps into the air against a dark red sky. He holds a massive, swirling sphere of orange and white fire above his head. He shouts that he is going all out. His eyes glow with a bright red light. He opens his mouth wide and screams that this is his final attack. Xiangzuo uses his ultimate skill called Converged Burst Flame Bullet. He falls from the red sky toward the target. A massive explosion of fire and orange light fills the screen, and the impact shakes the ground. A small drone states that the team successfully killed a ghost bat monster. The three roommates lie on the ground covered in black smoke and dust. They look very tired, but they are smiling. Ma Long shouts that they actually did it. Xiangzuo says they managed to take down a D-rank monster. Xichen stands nearby behind a tree and watches his friends with a calm expression. The three roommates lie on the snowy ground, looking up at the sky. A notification appears above a dead monster. It shows they have collected a ghost bat monkey finger bone. One of the teammates asks Xichen if he saw their victory. Xiangzuo breathes heavily but has a wide smile on his face. He tells Xichen that the battle was very easy for them. Xichen looks at his friends and tells them they did a good job. Behind him, the bodies of dead monsters are draped over the branches of a leafless tree. A final system message appears from the drone. It congratulates the team and announces that every monster within the Devil's Cave has been killed. Director Gong Xuan stares at the monitor with his mouth wide open in total shock. He is sweating and asks how it is possible for trash students to win. He says these students have zero combat experience. He is confused because they killed a D-rank monster that is much stronger than their official level. A screen shows the dead monster through a live camera feed. Gong Lin and Headmaster Yuan Long watch the footage silently. Carl Cavendish sits in a large chair and smiles. He says the young man is performing excellently. Carl looks closely at Xichen's face and remarks that the boy looks very much like an old acquaintance. Carl Cavendish smiles while looking at the monitor. He repeats Xichen's name and says that he remembers him now. Gong Xuan looks toward the screen and sweats. He suddenly points his hand forward and laughs loudly. He tells everyone in the room to look at the display. A screen appears and states that the other team in the D-rank dungeon is moving very fast. They are already halfway through the dungeon. A live video feed shows Gong Ting fighting in a bright blue area. Sigrid notes that the coordination of the student teams is flawless. She compares them to a professional guild raid team. Carl Cavendish smiles while looking at the screen. He finds the situation interesting and says the graduating class is impressive. Director Gong Xuan smirks and states that the battle has only just begun. He promises that the real show is yet to come. Inside the dark dungeon, a high-risk D-rank dungeon called the Gloomvine Grotto, and a group of monsters called Noxious Toadstools rush forward. They are identified as D-rank flower soldiers. These creatures have large red mushroom heads and giant mouths filled with sharp teeth. She is a flower chanter using a skill called Withering Hymn. The icons indicate that the monster's strength, stamina, and speed are all decreasing. The blonde girl continues playing her guitar to weaken the enemies. A boy with short hair claps his hands together and shouts for his team to gather the monsters. He is a star mage using a skill called Astral Fusion. A large beam of purple energy traps a mushroom monster in the air. Another teammate calls out to the captain. Gong Ting looks very serious, and a bright light flashes from his hand with a shing sound. He strikes the monster with extreme force. A massive explosion of orange fire and red blood fills the area as the monster is torn apart by the captain's final attack. He performs a powerful strike called Searing Fracture. He is a C-rank flame soldier. He holds the handle of his sword as black energy flows around him. One teammate laughs and says that the monsters in this exam are the same ones they fought during their training sessions. Another teammate adds that fighting these creatures has become second nature to them now. They look very confident as they stand in the middle of the flames. His teammate smiles and says that the graduation exam is rigged by the Gong family. He thinks life is easy when you know the right people. He believes his team will become champions very soon. Gong Ting walks forward into a dark forest. Gong Cheng waves his hand and shouts to the team. He tells them it is time to fight the dungeon boss. On the other side in the snowy field, Xichen walks through the heavy snow with his teammates. They move forward together in the middle of the storm. The team is currently inside a high-risk D-rank dungeon. The location is called Cloudwood Summit's Peak. The mountain is covered in deep white snow and blue ice. One teammate speaks, saying he cannot believe they successfully made it to the top of a D-rank dungeon. A large title appears. It identifies the upcoming enemy as a frost wraith ape. The monster is classified as a D-rank cloud soldier. A giant white ape sits in the snow and eats a smaller creature. The ape tears the body apart with its teeth blood covering the ground and the monster's fur. Ma Long looks terrified and sweats heavily. He asks if the creature is the monster lord. His teammate says that one slap from the ape would kill him many times. He whispers that he is very scared. The giant ape has glowing red eyes and deep scars on its face. It stops eating and looks directly toward our teammates. Ma Long sees the monster staring at them. He throws his hands up in the air and screams in terror. He yells that the monster is looking right at them. The ape monster leaps down from above with great speed. It screams as it lunges toward the group. Si-Chen's two teammates scream and run away in terror. Si-Chen remains standing still and looks up at the massive creature. Suddenly, he delivers a heavy kick directly into the ape's face. Blood sprays from the monster's face as it is struck with extreme force. The giant white ape monster slams into the snowy ground with a loud crash. A bright blue trail of light follows the force of the impact. The monster is thrown backward and rolls across the deep snow. Si-Chen stays in a low combat stance as yellow lightning crackles around his body. He then delivers a fast strike with a glowing yellow blade. The blade slices through the monster's jaw, and blood sprays into the air. Si-Chen turns and runs forward with extreme speed, and several sharp yellows cut through the monster's large body as the ape is sliced into many pieces. Ma Long stares at Si-Chen with wide eyes and is in total disbelief and asks if Si-Chen really killed the giant monster so easily. His roommate stands behind him looking shocked. Digital system messages appear in the air. They state that Si-Chen obtained 1 Frostwraith ape fur and earned 200 experience points. Si-Chen stands calmly in the falling snow as his team approaches him. Si-Chen thinks to himself he finds it strange that killing the lord of a D-rank dungeon gives such a small amount of experience. He also thinks the loot he received was very poor. Suddenly, a teammate shouts with excitement. They tell the others to look at a large collection of mana crystals. One of the teammates shouts to the others to come and look at a discovery. He points toward a large, jagged tree trunk sticking out of the deep snow. Si-Chen watches as his roommates run toward the stump. Inside the hollow center of the tree, there is a large cluster of glowing crystals. The teammate says the giant monster must have hidden these mana crystals inside the tree. He notices the large size of the gems and believes they are at least mid-tier mana crystals. The roommates lean into the hollow and look at the treasure with wide eyes and happy smiles. They laugh and say that if they sell these crystals, they will be set for life. Si-Chen suddenly shouts for his team to hold on immediately, as his hand reaches out to touch one of the glowing blue mana crystals. Suddenly, a massive explosion of cold energy erupts from the center of the tree. The roommates look terrified as they are blown backward by the intense force. Si-Chen stands in the middle of the bright blue light with a serious expression. A powerful skill called Arctic Nova is activated by a cloud mage. The entire area is instantly covered in giant, sharp ice spikes that erupt from the ground. The snowy mountain is now filled with jagged blue ice and thick white mist. Giant ice spikes cover the entire mountain landscape. One of Si-Chen's teammates is trapped behind the sharp pillars of ice. Near him, a device sits on the frozen ground. The device makes a buzzing sound. In the monitoring room, the camera feed for Si-Chen's team turns black and begins to glitch. A warning icon appears on the screen with the text, Team Si-Chen, no signal. Director Gong Xuan watches the monitor and says that the team fell directly into a trap. He explains that high-level monsters are very intelligent. He insults the students, calling them losers and a burden on society. He declares that this event marks the end of the graduation exam for Si-Chen and his team. Carl states that the students' lives are now in clear danger. Gong Xuan agrees immediately and says that saving the students is their top priority. He suggests that the guild rescue team should step in now. He notes that this would mean ending the graduation exam for Si-Chen's team. Many screens are dark or display warning icons. Carl looks at the monitors and tells everyone to give the team a little more time. Principal Yuan Long explains that the students' wristbands are constantly monitoring their health. He states that all their vital signs are currently stable. He also points out that the neural data shows the students do not want to quit the exam. He tells the other leaders that the decision to withdraw should be left to the students. Gong Lin stands next to the principal and remains silent. Back to the snowy mountain. Ma Long lets out a very loud sneeze and shouts. He sits on the frozen ground, surrounded by giant ice spikes. He shakes from the intense cold and hugs his arms to stay warm. Behind him, his teammates are trapped inside large blocks of ice. He mentions that he is thankful to be a Cloud Class Awakener. He explains that his class gives him resistance to the cold. He says that without this power, he would be frozen solid like his friends. A dark shadow falls over the area and a creepy laugh comes from the mist. The monster is revealed to be a giant warrior made of ice and dark metal. It has long white hair and a bright blue glowing core in its chest. The monster towers over the snowy landscape. It looks down at Ma Long and laughs loudly while the snow falls around them. Ma Long looks up at the giant creature and asks if this monster is the true lord of the dungeon. He explains that he recognizes the monster from the school's monster manual. He identifies it as a frostbound Lich King, which is a C-rank cloud mage. He says this type of monster is an elemental mage that can manipulate ice. Ma Long explains that it uses area of effect attacks and knockback abilities to fight. He tells his team that these monsters are very cunning and enjoy torturing their prey before they kill them. He realizes that the Arctic Nova attack they just faced was actually a trap set by the boss. The Lich King stares down at the students with its empty, glowing eye sockets. Ma Long runs across the jagged snow as the blue frost-bound Lich King follows him from above. Ma Long looks back and realizes the monster is a rare C-rank lord. He knows he cannot defeat such a powerful enemy by himself. He tells himself that he must hurry. Suddenly, a sharp spike of ice strikes Ma Long's lower leg. He screams in pain as the force of the attack throws him against a frozen mountain peak. The frostbound Lich King laughs while Ma Long is on his hands and knees in the snow, breathing heavily. A system message warns that he has a critical injury in his lower left leg. The screen asks if he wants to withdraw from the examination. Ma Long looks up and refuses to quit. He reaches out his glowing hand and says he must thaw Si Chen immediately. Ma Long activates his Cloud Chanter skill called Perfect Origin. This power uses purifying energy to remove debuffs from a single target. Si Chen is shown completely trapped inside a large, jagged block of ice. Ma Long tells himself that they still have a chance to win if he can defrost his teammate. An ice spike strikes Ma Long in the shoulder with a loud sound. Blood sprays into the cold air as Ma Long screams in pain. He falls face first into the snow. A message appears on the screen stating that his purification failed. The frostbound Lich King laughs loudly at him. The monster uses a skill called Frostbone Skewers. Many small ice shards form around the monster. Ma Long lies motionless on the ground. Several red warning boxes appear over him. They say his heart rate is at a critical level. They also report a serious injury in his right arm. The system asks Ma Long if he wants to withdraw from the examination now. Ma Long stares at the word withdraw and thinks about his life. He remembers always running away from every challenge and struggle he ever faced. A flashback shows Ma Long in school. A group of students throws objects at him while he covers his head. He thinks about how he was constantly left behind, humiliated, and ignored. He says people treated him like he did not matter. In another memory, Ma Long runs behind Si Chen. He is sweating and panting, but he keeps his fists clenched. He says that they put everything on the line to reach this moment. Finally, he is screaming with intense effort. He declares that against all odds, he finally has the chance to change his life. He refuses to give up now. In the present, Ma Long grits his teeth and shouts that he will never give up the fight. Ma Long reaches his hand toward the large block of ice. A powerful green light erupts from his palm as he uses his Perfect Origin skill. He focuses a beam of bright blue energy directly at the ice trapping Si Chen. The frostbound Lich King stands nearby and watches him. The monster energy waves spin through the air around them. Ma Long reaches out his hand toward the frozen structure. A bright blue light explodes from his palm. He screams as he uses all of his remaining strength. He kneels in the deep snow and points the intense blue energy at the large spikes of ice. Suddenly, inside the ice, Si Chen's eyes snap open. They glow with a fierce, bright yellow light as he begins to awaken. Si Chen activates his power and breaks out of the ice with a massive explosion. Blue ice shards fly everywhere in the snowy valley. He moves with incredible speed, shown by the large word Godspeed. The frostbound Lich King looks on in total shock. Its skeletal mouth is wide open, and its blue eyes glow with surprise. Si Chen moves like a golden streak of light across the snow. He reaches Ma Long and catches him. Ma Long is very weak and covered in sweat. He looks at Si Chen with a tired smile. He says that in the end, Si Chen still had to break free from the ice by himself. He is relieved that Si Chen is safe. Si Chen looks at Ma Long and tells him that he was a very big help. Ma Long looks at Si Chen's wounds and asks if he is going to be okay. Si Chen responds that his injuries are not serious and that he has managed to stop the bleeding. The ground begins to shake with a loud rumble. Si Chen explains that the monster is a C-rank cloud elemental monster lord called a frostbound Lich King. He warns Ma Long that it is incredibly powerful. He says they must not let the monster freeze them again. Si Chen looks over his shoulder as the rumbling continues. Ma Long stares with wide eyes and looks very terrified. High in the snowy sky, the frostbound Lich King raises its arms. A massive, jagged blue ice crystal forms above the monster. A title identifies the attack as Giga Frost Nova. Si Chen stands on the edge of a snowy cliff and looks up at the giant blue light. The frostbound Lich King opens its skeletal jaw and laughs loudly. Ma Long looks up at the sky with wide eyes and a terrified face. He asks how the monster could summon such a massive Frost Nova attack. He screams that it is impossible for them to dodge. A giant blue sphere of energy and jagged ice shards forms in the center of the snowy area. The ground rumbles violently as the spell expands. Suddenly, a massive white explosion fills the entire screen with blinding light. The force of the impact is extremely powerful. The frostbound Lich King floats in the snowy sky and laughs loudly. It looks down at the ground with glowing blue eyes to see the result of its attack. The entire valley is now covered in massive, jagged blue ice spikes. Ma Long is thrown backward through the air with a look of total shock. Si Chen stands in the center of a swirling blue aura of energy. He has switched his class to the Gravehound King at level 16. A system screen explains his frosty physique ability. This skill gives him full immunity to cold temperatures. It also increases all of his resistances while he is in low temperature environments. The frostbound Lich King opens its skeletal mouth wide and lets out a loud laugh. Ma Long sits on the snowy ground and sees that Si Chen is now using a different type of energy. Ma Long is confused and asks Si Chen what has happened to his power. He reminds Si Chen that he is supposed to be a lightning elemental assassin. Ma Long begins to sweat and asks if Si Chen is a rare 1 in a million person. Si Chen stands still as a powerful blue energy swirls around his body. Ma Long finally realizes that Si Chen is a dual-class awakener who can use 2 different types of abilities at the same time. Suddenly, Si Chen's eyes glow with a bright blue light. He tells them he is sorry for misjudging the situation. He says it is his fault that the 3 of them were put in danger. He clenches his fist tightly. Bright white light and electricity burst from his hand. He declares that the danger will end now. A message appears on the screen. It says that the class change is finished. Si Chen has now become the Abyssal Fiend at level 16. He holds a giant, glowing pink blade that makes a loud whirring sound. He looks toward the monster and says he will finish this battle immediately. Usually, an Awakener can only have 1 class. There is a very small chance for someone to have 2 classes. Only 1 person in 10 million can do this. The cloud symbol and the lightning symbol. These rare people are called dual classers. Ma Long realizes Si Chen is one of these extremely rare warriors. The world has fewer than 10 people with 2 classes. These people are very famous, and every guild wants to find them. Ma Long screams in shock as he realizes Si Chen is a dual classer. Si Chen stands in a bright blue aura while wearing a white bone mask. He has 2 classes. Then, a notification on the screen shows his strength and stamina increase 3 times. Ma Long screams again in total disbelief. He sees that Si Chen actually possesses 3 different classes. Si Chen's eyes glowed with a fierce blue light, and he reached max stamina and max strength. Si Chen notes that every single one of his classes is incredibly powerful. Si Chen is then leaping through the air. He is surrounded by swirling pink and purple energy. He prepares to strike with his massive, glowing pink blade. The monster stands in the distance, overshadowed by Si Chen's power. Ma Long looks completely terrified. He thinks about the crushing aura the monster had earlier in the fight. He realizes that Si Chen's current power is now even greater than the monster's pressure. The frostbound Lich King lets out a loud, high-pitched scream as it is struck. Si Chen activates a powerful move called Triple Calamity Overload Mode. He delivers a massive vertical slice that fills the panel with bright pink and purple light. The monster is torn apart by the force of the blade. The skeletal body of the Lich King shatters into many white bones and torn pieces of cloth. Si Chen kneels on the ground, holding his glowing weapon as the monster is destroyed. A victory screen appears over Si Chen. He stands in a bright pillar of yellow light as the system updates. He earns 5,000 experience points from the battle. A notification flashes, "Level up," showing that Si Chen has reached level 17. At the bottom of the screen, a loot window appears. It confirms that he has obtained a new item called Frostbone Skewers. Ma Long looks down at the skeletal remains of the monster lord in the snow. He is very impressed. He tells Si Chen that he should have known he could win. He says Si Chen defeated a C-rank monster lord with only 1 hit. Si Chen asks Ma Long if their other 2 roommates are still trapped in the ice. He asks if Ma Long has enough energy left to defrost them. Ma Long realizes he forgot about his friends. He runs quickly across the snowy ground toward the large ice spikes. He shouts that he totally forgot about Xiang Zuo and Xiang Yu. He tells them to hang in there as he rushes to help. Si Chen stays behind and watches him run. The skeletal skull of the frostbound Lich King lies on the ground. A system box appears above the skull. The box displays the word Devourer in large white letters. Si Chen reaches his hand toward the remains of the monster. A bright red light glows from his palm and pulses with energy. A red digital loading bar appears at the top of the screen with the word Devouring. Swirling white energy pulls the skeletal head of the frostbound Lich King into Si Chen's body. A system message appears stating that the devouring is complete. A card appears in front of him. It displays the frostbound Lich King and identifies the new class as Cloud Mage. The card shows star ratings for stats like strength, speed, and mental power. It also lists the skills Frostbone Skewers and Arctic Nova. Si Chen says that he has gained a new class called Cloud Mage. He explains that this is the first time he has obtained a new class while outside of the Dream Realm. Si Chen looks calmly at the snowy ground. He sees that the small robot camera is completely covered in ice. He thinks about the previous Arctic Nova attack. He realizes his true powers were not seen by the judges because the camera was frozen. He tells himself there is still plenty of time to finish the test. He wants to earn a perfect score for his team. In the background, Ma Long continues to use his energy to help the other two roommates. A screen appears in front of Si Chen. A notification flashes with the words, "Class level up." He has reached 100% experience for his current class. He gains 1 new star. The system tells him he can now use this star to increase his various stats. Si Chen looks at a glowing icon on his system screen. He is surprised and asks if he just earned a star. The icon shows a multiplication symbol and a green star. On the other side of Team Gongting, inside a dark cave called the Gloomvine Grotto, they are fighting a D-rank flower mage monster called a giant man-eater. The monster is a large red plant with sharp teeth and green vines. One student is thrown through the air by a vine and yells in pain. One teammate has purple glowing chains wrapped around his fists. He is sweating and his face is filled with strain. He asks if a D-rank boss is truly this powerful. He shouts at his other teammates to pummel the monster. He yells that he cannot hold the creature back any longer. Another student holds a bow made of bright yellow electricity. He pulls the string back and sparks fly through the air. He says the monster is too tanky and has too much health. The giant red plant monster is hit by yellow lightning in its open mouth. A student shouts that he is not doing any damage to the beast. The monster uses its large green vines to strike the students with a loud sound. Many team members are thrown into the air. One student screams that the monster has broken free. A student crawls on the dark ground, looks terrified, and is covered in sweat. He asks his teammates what they should do. He says they never fought anything this strong during their training sessions. Another student looks toward the back of the cave and says that Gongting is their only hope. He wonders how the situation is on Gongting's end of the battle. Gongting stands in a dark cave while his teammates use yellow magic circles to give him energy. Digital text on the screen shows that his stamina, strength, and elemental power are all increasing. One teammate asks if he has built up enough power yet. Gongting is now surrounded by intense orange flames. His eyes glow with a sharp red light, and he has a very serious expression. He looks ahead and says that he has enough power. Gongting leaps forward with incredible speed. A large fire explosion happens behind him as he lunges toward the enemy. He strikes the giant red plant monster with his sword. Gongting moves as a streak of fire and black light. He slices directly through the thick neck of the monster. Gongting looks ahead with glowing orange eyes. He yells, "Split," with great force. He activates a powerful skill called Sorrow Blade Burst. A giant explosion of orange and yellow fire fills the area. His teammates watch the explosion and begin to cheer. One student with light hair laughs and calls Gongting a legend. Another student shouts that the president is incredible and asks the others to look at his power. A notification appears on the screen. It congratulates Team Gongting for successfully clearing the D-rank dungeon. The screen shows the total time was 35 minutes. The team members laugh together. They state that they cleared the dungeon in nearly half an hour. They believe that no other team will ever be able to beat their record. Gongting stands silently in the middle of the burning fire while holding his glowing sword. A student walks with his teammate through a hallway. He says that even a low-tier F-rank dungeon takes most people an hour to finish. He laughs and says that anyone else leaving the area now must be trash who gave up early. Many students are sitting on long benches. Most of them are covered in bandages and look defeated. One student crouches on the floor and holds his head in fear. He begs the monsters not to kill him. His teammate tells him to calm down because they left the dungeon a long time ago. Nearby, a girl says the monsters were too terrifying. A student watches from a distance and says that Si Chen's group gave up and left early, just as he expected. In the corner, Si Chen leans against the wall. He looks at his phone with a calm expression. His 3 roommates sit on the bench next to him. They are wrapped in gray blankets and look very exhausted. One roommate has a crutch leaning against his seat. Si Chen sits on a bench in the waiting room. Gongcheng walks up to him and mocks him. He says that Si Chen could not even finish the assessment. He asks Si Chen where his tough attitude went. Gongting stands nearby and tells Gongcheng to come back. He sees a group of men in suits arriving at the entrance. Gongting says the vice chairman is here and tells his team they must go greet him. Carl Cavendish enters the room and claps his hands together. He shouts that the performance today was brilliant. He says they witnessed an outstanding performance during the test. Carl Cavendish walks down the center of the long waiting room. Gongcheng looks very excited and says that Carl is the most powerful man in the world. He believes Carl is walking toward their team. Gongting reaches out with his hand, but Carl Cavendish walks past Gongting and his teammates. Gongting turns his head and looks back in shock. Carl stops directly in front of Si Chen. He tells Si Chen that he is truly remarkable. Carl places his hand on Si-chen's shoulder and explains that Si-chen cleared the D-rank Devil's Cave in only 21 minutes. He tells him that even professional raid teams would find this goal hard to reach. He calls Si-chen's performance truly brilliant. Gong Cheng is shocked and screams in disbelief. He thinks to himself that Si-chen and his friends are pieces of trash. He is amazed they successfully cleared a D-rank cave. He is especially stunned because it only took them 21 minutes. Si-chen stands quietly while his 3 roommates smile behind him. They greet the vice chairman happily. Si-chen thinks about Carl's identity. He knows Carl is the vice chairman of the World Guild Alliance. He believes Carl is the second most powerful person in the world today. Si-chen wonders why a man with such high power would come to the school. Carl looks at Si-chen and smiles. He asks Si-chen to confirm his name. Carl thinks to himself that this trip was not a waste of time after all. Carl Cavendish looks at Gong Lin and speaks. He says that the young master of the Gong family performed very well. He mentions that leading a team to clear a D-rank Devil's Cave at a young age is a great achievement. Carl says that Guildmaster Gong Lin taught his son well and that they are very similar. Gong Lin looks down and tells the vice chairman that he is flattering him. Carl says it is getting late and he must head back. Carl and his assistants walked through the room. Carl thinks to himself that the principal is lucky to have found 2 great prodigies. He says that finding 2 geniuses like this is a very rare event that happens once in 1,000 years. Director Gong Xuan looks nervous and has sweat on his face. He clears his throat and says he will announce the results for both Si-chen's and Gong Ting's teams. He explains that both teams have a tie for a perfect score. He prepares to make the final announcement. The director announces that both teams are tied for the championship. He tells the students that every member of both teams is now allowed to join the Empire Guild. Si-chen's roommates celebrate with great joy. They shout that they are now set for life and have a ticket to the top of society. Gong Ting stands nearby with a quiet expression. The director speaks again to announce the final details. He states that Captain Gong Ting and Captain Si-chen will both be given core management positions within the Empire Guild. He also says that the 2 of them will split the 1 million prize money equally. Gong Ting looks slightly shocked by the news. Si-chen looks back at him with a calm face. Si-chen thinks about the prize money and realizes he will only receive 500,000 yuan. He remembers his promise to pay back 1 million yuan to Qingji within a month. He tells himself he must find a way to earn the other 500,000 yuan as quickly as possible. Gong Ting stands in the shadows and says there can only be one champion. He looks directly at Si-chen and loudly demands a one-on-one tiebreaker match against Si-chen. Director Gong Xuan looks extremely shocked and sweats. The other students and the high-ranking officials watch the confrontation. The director leans in and whispers to Gong Ting. He asks Gong Ting what nonsense he is talking about. The ranking assessment ends in a tie for first place. Most people believe this is a perfect result and think Si-chen will not want to fight again. However, Si-chen looks at Gong Ting and says if he will be allowed to keep the entire 1 million yuan prize if he wins a tiebreaker match. Director Gong Xuan is shocked by the question and spits in surprise. Gong Ting tells Si-chen that if he can win the fight, he can take all the money. Carl Cavendish watches the 2 students from the side. He smiles and says the situation is very interesting. He remarks that the performance has not ended yet. They walk toward each other until they are standing face to face. They stare intensely into each other's eyes. Si-chen asks Gong Ting how they are going to settle the match and determine the winner. Sometime later, Si-chen sits on a couch in a luxury room. He says that he must repay his debt. He asks for a 1-week extension on the deadline. He explains that he received 500,000 less than he expected. This happened because the graduation exam ended in a tie. Si-chen tells Qingji that he will have a one-on-one tiebreaker match with Gong Ting. He says the fight will happen in 1 week. They will go to a wild devil's cave outside of the school. Qingji looks very shocked and says the cave is far too dangerous for students. He notes that neither of them has professional guild training. Si-chen tells Qingji not to worry. He says he will get the remaining money after he wins the match. He also promises to give Qingji all the monster materials he finds inside the cave. He tells the guild leader to keep the monster materials as interest for the 1-week deadline extension. Qingji places his hand over his mouth and thinks to himself that Si-chen is extraordinary. He notices that Si-chen shows no fear about entering a dangerous wild devil's cave. He is surprised that Si-chen only cares about his debt and interest. Si-chen holds a small glass of water in his hand. He states that there is another reason for his visit today. He says this reason is even more important than the loan. Qingji looks back at him and waits for him to continue. Si-chen prepares to speak as the 2 men stare at each other in silence. Si-chen begins to speak about the important matter he mentioned earlier. Qingji suddenly stands up from the sofa. He looks shocked and stares at Si-chen in silence. In the afternoon of June 17th, the location is Qingshui Middle School in Kangchang County. Si-yun stands outside the school and stretches her arms. She says she is happy because her final exam is finally over. Other students walk behind her. They discuss the difficult multiple-choice questions from the test. One student says he did not even understand the questions. Si-yoon looks relieved to be finished with her schoolwork. She looks at her phone and has a small smile. She says that her summer vacation is starting now. She suddenly remembers that today is the day of her brother's graduation assessment. In a flashback from 4 years ago, Si-chen holds up a large envelope. He tells Si-yoon that the university detected elemental potential in his body. He shouts that the National Awakener University has accepted him. Si-yoon looks at him with wide, sparkling eyes. She asks if he is going to be an awakener, just like their mother and father. Si-chen holds his sister's hands in a room filled with stacks of books. He tells her that he can now join a top guild and earn a lot of money. He promises her that he will make sure she lives a better life. He tells his sister that he will find the truth behind their parents' disappearance. Si-yoon looks at him with a wide, happy smile. She tells him that he is the absolute best and will definitely become an incredible awakener. Time passed, and Si-chen is now a senior at the university. He sighs and wonders why he hasn't awakened his powers yet. Si-yoon stands near him and tells him that it is totally fine. Si-chen gives a small, tired smile. Si-yoon encourages him by saying he just needs to keep working hard. After getting into the university, Si-chen worked harder than anyone else. However, he ended up being the only student who failed to awaken. He had to spend his time watching every other person around him gain their special abilities one by one, while he remained powerless. Suddenly, a girl runs up to her. This classmate is very excited and calls out to Si-yoon. She asks if Si-yoon has heard the big news. She explains that the National Awakener University produced 2 genius graduates this year. The 2 girls walk together through the school building. The classmate says that both geniuses led their teams to perfect scores. She adds that the vice chairman of the Guild Alliance met them in person and praised them. The girl says the news is everywhere and will make their county famous. She then remembers that Si-yoon's brother goes to that same university. She asks Si-yoon about him. Si-yoon looks down and feels nervous. She does not know how to respond and only makes a small sound. Suddenly, a man with messy pink hair appears. He looks directly at Si-yoon and says good afternoon. He tells Si-yoon that he booked a private penthouse room at the Zifeng building. He says she should be free at 8 p.m. and invites her. Si-yoon's friend looks very surprised and covers her mouth. She asks Si-yoon how she knows the school idol. Si-yoon looks down and remains silent. Suddenly she turns and runs away quickly. Her friend and Jin Duoksan watch her leave with confusion. Ju-tong shouts to ask why she is walking so fast. While running, Si-yoon has a sad vision in her mind. She sees the silhouettes of successful students holding a trophy and celebrating. Her brother was kneeling on the ground and crying because he could not awaken. She thinks about how her brother's classmates are making the news for their perfect scores. She feels deep pain because her brother failed to gain any powers. She tells herself that it breaks her heart just thinking about it. Si-yoon decides to hurry home to cook a large feast for Si-chen to cheer him up. It is the night of June 17th inside the siblings' rented apartment. A large feast is spread out on the table with a steaming sukiyaki hot pot as the main dish. Si-chen looks at the meal with wide eyes and is surprised. He asks Si-yoon how she had enough time to prepare so much food. They sit across from each other, and Si-chen holds his chopsticks and remarks that the food smells amazing. A news report plays on the television in the background. The reporter announces that the Dongsan National Awakener University has finished its graduation combat assessment. The news mentions that Vice Chairman Carl Cavendish visited the students in person. Si-chen continues to eat his meal with a calm smile. Si-yoon rests her chin on her hand and watches him with a sad expression. She thinks to herself that her brother is only acting tough to hide his feelings. She believes that failing the assessment was a massive blow to him, and she is worried because he is not showing any signs of disappointment. The news reporter announces that the graduation assessment had a rare result with 2 champions. The university discovered twin geniuses, who both earned perfect scores. Vice Chairman Carl Cavendish specifically names Si-chen and praises his performance. Si-yoon's eyes go wide, and she looks completely shocked. She stares at the screen and realizes the reporter is talking about her brother. She looks over at Si-chen, who is calmly sitting across from her and drinking from a cup. She asks herself if her brother really led his team to a perfect score. She wonders how he achieved such a high rank. She looks at her brother with a soft smile and tears in her eyes. She thinks to herself that he is a silly brother. It is the 17th of June 2157, the day of the graduation combat assessment. Vice Chairman Carl Cavendish sits in a restaurant and eats a piece of meat with chopsticks. He smiles and says the trip was definitely worth it because he found a gem. Ling Yu sits across the table from him and Carl asks her why she chose to join Si-chen's team. He places a brown envelope stamped "Secret" on the table. He reads the assessment report and notes that Si-chen cleared a D-rank dungeon in only 21 minutes. Carl explains that even a professional guild team would find this task difficult. Ling Yu says she knows Si-chen's secret. She reveals that Si-chen trained in a highly dangerous wild devil's cave before the school exam. Carl looks very surprised by this information. Meanwhile, Si-chen stands in the snowy wasteland inside the Devil's Tower. He looks at his digital system screen, now a level 17 lightning assassin. Si-Chen sees that his stats have increased significantly after leveling up, and his speed is now at 405. A notification card shows that he earned 1 new star point to add to his stats. 10 days remain before the graduation combat assessment. He explains that he has been training continuously on this floor. This hard work allowed him to successfully upgrade the star levels of his classes. His stat numbers quickly increase on the digital screen. However, he reveals some bad news. 2 dark purple phantom lions prowl on the snowy ground. Suddenly, a massive purple phantom lion king appears. Si-Chen explains that the monsters on this floor have started to mutate into B-rank bosses. Just then, he activates a skill called Divine Flash and shoots forward like a bolt of lightning. He strikes the giant Lion King and swings his sword down in a blinding flash of light. Si-Chen says that despite their new power, they are still just regular monsters to him. He states he can finish the fight in seconds. He explains that the real problem is the endless number of enemies. As several more phantom lions appear over the snowy hill, he notes that every time he clears a group, a new wave immediately spawns to replace them. He swings his blade and dodges a leaping purple lion. He tells himself to wait a little more until his body reaches its physical limits. He lunges forward, covered in yellow lightning. A purple lion is hit by yellow energy and crashes hard into the snow. Si-Chen falls to his knees, sweating and breathing heavily. He realizes the large monster is completely toying with him. Si-Chen looks serious and notes that his stamina will be completely depleted soon. He jumps backward high into the air with his blade to escape another attacking lion. Suddenly, a bright blue light surrounds him, and a system message announces a class switch. Si-Chen's eyes glow with intense blue light as ice forms over his body. He says it is time to test out his new power. The transformation finishes, and Si-Chen becomes a level 17 Frostbone Skeleton King. A digital card displays his new Cloud Mage stats and ice abilities. Then, he uses a Cloud Mage skill called Frost Spike. Many sharp ice spikes shoot down from the bright blue sky. The spikes hit the snowy ground and create massive blue explosions around the giant purple lion. Si-Chen notes that his stamina is almost completely gone. He tells himself he must finish the battle quickly before his skills go on cooldown. He unleashes another huge wave of ice spikes that curve through the air and strike the roaring lion boss, creating a large blast of blue energy. Suddenly, a dark black portal appears high in the sky. Massive rings of ice form and crack along the snowy ground with loud banging sounds. The purple lions look around in shock as the endless horde of beasts finally stops coming. Si-Chen reaches his icy hand up toward the sky. The giant purple Lion King looks up with wide eyes and an open mouth. This ultimate attack is called the Frost Blast Bomb. The giant ice bomb hovers over the snowy wasteland while the lions stare up at it in fear. He stares forward and declares that not a single monster will escape. The giant purple lion opens its mouth and roars loudly. Si-Chen jumps high into the air. A massive explosion of blue and white energy erupts from the snowy ground with a loud sound. The monster is completely frozen inside a large block of jagged ice. Si-Chen holds a glowing pink sword and swings it down. A screen shows that his class switch is complete. Si-Chen's eyes now glow with bright blue light. He declares that the fight on the first floor of the dreamscape is finally over. He activates a stellar warrior skill called Triple Cataclysm in crushing mode. He strikes the frozen lion with a giant beam of pink energy. The powerful attack slices completely through the monster. Si-Chen stands in the snowy wasteland and holds his glowing sword. Several purple lions lie dead on the ground around him. Broken pieces of ice are scattered everywhere. One of the dead lions begins to turn white. Its body starts to fade into dark smoke. Si-Chen stares forward with glowing yellow eyes and tells the dead monster to talk. He reaches out his hand and demands to know the monster's exact class. The purple lion's body turns into dark smoke. Si-Chen absorbs the dark energy into his glowing hand. The energy transforms into a new purple digital card called Lion King Phantom Mane. Si-Chen looks at the floating card and says that he has never seen a tamer class before. He looks back at the snowy wasteland under the starry sky, where the giant lion boss used to stand behind its pack. He understands now why the boss refused to fight him directly. He explains that the boss had weak stats and hid behind its contracted beasts the whole time. Si-Chen reads the card's new skills. He notes that the teleportation ability, which lets the user jump to a beast to protect it, is amazingly good. His second skill allows him to forcibly contract beasts. He says this forced contracting ability is exactly what he needs right now. However, the card explains that the success rate is higher against heavily injured monsters. Si-Chen concludes that to successfully capture a contracted beast, he will have to beat the monster very badly first. Later, Si-Chen walks through the snow and enters a sandy desert. He looks around and says that the second floor is a barren desert. He sees an enormous skeleton lying in the sand and notes its massive size. A glowing orange pillar stands nearby, and a message states that the door to the second floor has finally opened. Inside the skeleton, two pink eyes glow brightly. Si-Chen quickly turns his head. He approaches a small rib cage in the sand. A tiny purple creature with pink eyes growls at him from inside the bones. Si-Chen calls the creature a feisty little guy and decides he must use force. He summons a yellow lightning blade in his hand. Si-Chen states that he is heading out now. He wonders what happened to the graduation exam while he was busy inside the tower. He looks at the small purple creature and says that it has an exceptionally strong bloodline. Si-Chen shouts that he will forcibly tame the creature right now. Si-Chen strikes the large skeletal monster with yellow lightning. A small white creature falls onto the sand with a plop. Si-Chen looks down at the creature and says he can see right through its disguise. He tells the small beast to stop acting. He smiles slightly and explains that nothing escapes his Eye of the Watcher ability, including the creature's true Lion King title. The small white lion looks up in surprise. Si-Chen turns around and walks toward the desert. He says the creature is out and sleeps deeply, so it is time for him to head to the next floor. Suddenly, a pink digital screen pops up behind him with a buzzing sound. The system screen announces an incoming beast contract request. It explains 2 passive skills. The first shares experience points equally between the master and the beast, and the second halves the cost of teleporting to the beast. Si-Chen looks back over his shoulder in surprise. The white lion sits calmly in the sand. A system window above the creature labels it as contractable and names it Lion King Leo. Finally, the system asks Si-Chen if he wants to accept the contract. Si-Chen looks down at the creature and asks if it wants to follow him. The creature looks up and barks loudly. Si-Chen tells the creature that he plans to conquer every floor of the Devil Tower. He warns them that the monsters will become more vicious on each floor. He explains that it could be injured or even lose its life. He asks the creature if it has truly thought this through. The small lion barks again to show it agrees. Si-Chen closes his eyes and says he understands. He opens his eyes, and his glowing pink loudly consents to sign the contract. A message announces that the contract with Lion King Leo is established. A new card shows Si-Chen's stats as a Star Beastmaster. The screen lists new passive skills, including a pact that shares experience points and an ability to teleport to the beast's side. Si-Chen smiles and gestures with his thumb, telling the creature that they will head out together. The small lion runs happily beside him. They walk toward the swirling orange portal. Si-Chen tells the lion to protect itself while he is fighting. The creature barks in agreement and steps into the tall portal. Si-Chen and his small white beast walk into a dark, rocky cave filled with bright orange pillars of light and flowing lava. Si-Chen sweats heavily and says it is so hot that he feels like he will melt. As he walks near the edge, he wonders what kind of monster they will encounter on this floor. Suddenly, a blinding white light flashes. Si-Chen's eyes widen in terror as a massive hole is instantly blasted straight through his chest. Blood sprays everywhere as his face freezes in complete shock. Si-Chen suddenly gasps and wakes up in his bed with sunlight shining through the window. He sits up and breathes heavily, realizing he was killed in an instant without even seeing the monster. He looks confused and wonders what kind of terrifying power the second-floor monster possesses. Si-Yun calls out from behind the door, telling him to come out and eat breakfast. He sits at the table and looks surprised, calling the large meal of noodles and fruit an absolute feast. She reminds him to wash the dishes and hang up the clothes from the washing machine in 30 minutes. As she puts on her shoes, Si-Chen asks why she is rushing to leave since summer vacation has already started. Si-Yun explains she is going to her summer job. Si-Chen looks confused and reminds her that he told her to leave the money matters to him. Si-Yun smiles brightly and says that since her brother has made it to the top, she cannot fall behind. She adds that staying home all summer would be boring anyway. Si-Yun closes the door and leaves. She tells Si-Chen to wash the dishes and hang the clothes. Si-Chen washes a bowl under running water. He hangs a gray shirt on a clothing rack in the living room. He thinks about how Xiaoyun has always lived her life with grit, no matter what happens. He looks at a framed picture on his desk. The picture shows him and his sister smiling and making peace signs. He kneels down to look closer at the photo. He thinks that even though she is just a child, she makes him feel cared for. A vision of the massive Demon King Wrath with its giant tentacles appears in his mind. Si-Chen thinks that once he finishes school, he must fight Wrath. Because of this, he will not be able to stay by Xiaoyun's side for much longer. He states that she is the only person he truly worries about. Suddenly, his eyes widened in surprise. He puts his fingers to his forehead and thinks of a new idea. Si-Chen's eyes glow with bright purple light, and a dark purple portal opens in the air above him. The white lion falls out of the portal. Si-Chen looks completely shocked with his mouth open. He realizes that he actually managed to summon his contracted beast from the Dreamscape Devil Tower into the real world. The lion then jumps onto the couch and plays with a box of tissues, pulling them out and making a mess. Si-Chen watches the lion and decides to have Leo follow Xiaoyun while he is away. A card showing the Phantom Spirit Lion King and its skills. Si-Chen looks at his hand and explains the skill called Astral Orbit Jump. He says this skill will let him see through the beast's eyes if she is in danger. He will also be able to teleport instantly to her side to protect her. He remembers a time when Xiao Yun was little and happily petted a white cat and a brown dog. He smiles with glowing purple eyes and holds the beast card. He believes that since she loves cats and dogs, she will gladly accept a small lion. Suddenly, a loud clanging sound comes from the kitchen. Si-Chen quickly turns his head to look behind him. He walks in and stares blankly as the lion eats a ceramic plate on the messy counter. Si-Chen thinks that his sister can surely accept the creature. On the other side, a wounded man covered in blood kneels on the ground holding a broken blue weapon. He breathes heavily and looks up in terror. He yells for man to stay away and asks what it is. A sudden red slash strikes the man. Blood pours down his face as he stares with wide eyes, asking what kind of monster this is. The man is lifted into the air by white energy lines, and a red bar shows that the dark figure is devouring him. Later, Si-Yun walks down a street at sunset, carrying 2 plastic bags. She looks exhausted and says she is finally off work. She explains that standing all day selling milk tea is very tiring. She stops near a wall and wonders if her brother will like the drink she bought. She walks alone down a quiet alleyway. Suddenly, she stops and looks surprised when a voice speaks to her from the shadows, telling her that she has finally arrived. A boy named Jin Duoxin steps forward holding a large bouquet of beautiful red roses. He smiles and tells Xiao Yun that he has been waiting for her. He explains that she left school very fast last time, so she missed his date invitation. He tells her not to worry because he rented the entire top floor of the Zifeng building for them again tonight. Si-Yun asks him how he knew she lived in this area. Jin Duoxin smirks arrogantly and pushes his hair back. He explains that his father is the director of the first hospital, so using his connections to find her was very easy. Si-Yun does not accept his flowers. Instead, she walks past him and says they are from 2 completely different worlds. She firmly tells him never to come looking for her again. Suddenly, Jin Duoxin yells at her. He violently grabs her wrist to stop her from leaving. He becomes very angry and asks if she knows how much effort it takes to rent an entire floor at the Zifeng building. He tells her that he invited a bunch of friends, so her not showing up would completely disrespect him. Si-Yun glares back at him sharply and asks why she should show him any respect. She also tells him that staking out her home like this is incredibly creepy. Hearing the word creepy, Jin Duoxin's face turns dark and he asks her just who she thinks she is. He states that he tried to be nice to her, but she threw his kindness right back in his face. He violently threatens her, asking if she honestly believes he could not have his way with her in just 3 minutes. Suddenly, Si-Yun lunges forward and delivers a powerful headbutt directly into Jin Duoxin's face. Si-Yun walks away angrily while carrying her plastic bags. She tells Jin Duoxin to go get his brain checked at his father's hospital first. Si-Yun continues walking annoyedly, telling him to stop bothering her because he completely ruined her mood today. In the outside of their apartment building, the white lion looks up with bright eyes. Si-Yun lifts the little lion high into the air with both hands. Her eyes turn into pink hearts. She shouts in surprise and asks her brother where he bought such an adorable magical beast. She hugs the little white lion tightly against her cheek and smiles widely with floating hearts around her. Si-Chen sits calmly on a chair nearby and tells her that the creature's name is Leo and explains that she will be taking care of him from now on. Si-Yun sits on the couch, holding Leo happily, and excitedly asks if she can really raise a little lion. His smartphone rings and a sound comes from the device. He looks down at the screen with wide eyes. The phone screen displays an email from the Guild Supervisory Bureau. The message states that his application has been approved after a careful review. The email also tells him to contact the Bureau if he has questions and wishes him a pleasant life. Si-Chen thinks to himself that his application is finally approved. He notes that his plan can now proceed smoothly. He lowers the phone, looks forward, and states that his next goal is to win the tiebreaker match. He declares that he must win this fight in exactly 6 days. 6 days later, on the 24th of June, 2157, the day of the tiebreaker assessment arrived. At 3:10 p.m. in the outskirts of Greenlight Forest, Director Gong Xuan stands in front of a bright portal located inside the trunk of a massive tree. Scientists and equipment surround the area. Gong Xuan calls for the attention of the 2 candidates. He announces that the school board decided the tiebreaker will happen inside this Wild Devil's Cave, which equipment surveys confirm is a D-rank cave. Gong Xuan reminds them of their agreement to be assessed in the same cave together. He warns them that the inside of a wild cave is completely unknown, making the risks much higher than normal school assessments. Because of this danger, the school brought in 3 senior Guild Raid team members from the Dongxin Nation to act as accompanying examiners. These 3 professionals stand quietly in the grass. One of them is a man named Ivan from the Empire Guild, who is a C-rank flora chanter. Gong Xuan explains that these examiners will follow the candidates into the cave to provide protection and give them a real-time score based on their performance. Kai Yu from the Divine Eye Guild wears a brown hat and an orange mask over her face. She is a C-rank nuclear shooter. Yuta Sato from the Yinfeng Guild has dreadlocks, a mustache, and wears dark sunglasses. He is a C-rank star warrior. An announcement states that the final results of the test will be decided by the scores these three examiners give. The three examiners on a large blue screen and smiles evilly and touches his chin. He thinks to himself that the examiners must perform their duties well and ensure everything is done without leaving a single trace, hinting at a secret plot. Later, inside a room, Gong Lin and Yuan Long stand near a sofa. Vice Chairman Carl Cavendish sits relaxed on the couch. Gong Lin asks Carl why he is still at the school, noting that his scheduled trip ended 2 days ago. Carl smirks and asks what could possibly be more interesting than what is happening here. Carl continues to smile and explains that he wants to stay because he has not witnessed a duel between true geniuses in many years. Director Gong Xuan stands in front of a massive, swirling green portal. He raises his right hand up toward the bright light and announces the start of the event. He says this is the National Awakener University class of 2157 graduation combat assessment, one-on-one tiebreaker. He declares the match is between Si Chen and Gong Ting, Si Chen's eyes glowing with intense yellow light. The announcement states that the match officially begins. Si Chen and Gong Ting walk forward into the bright green portal. The three examiners walk in behind them, accompanied by a small floating camera drone. Kai Yu looks at the surroundings and notes that there are dead trees everywhere. She explains that it looks like a flora-type devil's cave. Behind her, Ivan holds up a cigarette and asks Yuta if he wants a smoke. Yuta refuses and reminds Ivan that they are proctoring an exam and the cameras are still rolling. Suddenly, a jagged red light begins to flash brightly on Si Chen's chest. Massive red signs appear directly in front of him. He thinks to himself that this is the first time he has ever seen the Devil Heart issue a warning. Si Chen thinks to himself that this is the first time the Demon Heart has ever thrown out a warning. Suddenly, the red warning vanishes with a glitching sound. He looks to the side and wonders if high-ranked monsters can really hide inside a D-rank dungeon. Si Chen and Gong Ting walk forward into a dark forest. Gong Ting walks in front while holding his sword, and Si Chen follows behind with his hands in his pockets. Up on a rocky ledge, the three examiners watch the students closely. One examiner notes that the fog is absolutely suffocating. Another examiner tells the group to stay on high alert and to keep their eyes on the examinees without looking away. Suddenly, the rocky ground near the students cracks open with a loud snap. A green monster bursts out of the earth, sending rocks flying into the air. A system box identifies the beast as a poison cage ant, which is a D-rank flower archer. Gong Ting quickly grabs the hilt of his sword. He pulls the glowing blade out of its sheath and rushes forward with his sword drawn. The examiner says that the student's reaction time is amazing. However, he explains that wild dungeon monsters are very different from the ones at school. He states that wild monsters are faster, crueler, and fight dirty. The green ant monster leaps into the air. It uses a flower archer skill called Toxic Volley. It shoots multiple bright green, glowing balls of poison at Gong Ting. Gong Ting moves incredibly fast. He leaves a zigzag trail of yellow light as he easily dodges the poison attacks. Gong Ting swings his glowing yellow sword upward and slices the monster completely in half. Gong Ting lands on his feet and holds his glowing sword in front of his face. He quickly thrusts his sword forward and pierces the top half of the monster directly in the chest. He then uses a nuclear warrior skill called Blaze Blade Barrage. A massive orange and yellow fiery explosion erupts from his sword and completely destroys the monster. The three examiners watch quietly from the rocky cliff as smoke and ash blow past them in the wind. In a room, teachers watch Si Chen on a large blue screen. Carl Cavendish sits in a chair and asks Stephen what he thinks Si Chen is searching for in the wild forest. Stephen smiles and explains his guess that Si Chen is hunting for a way to defeat all the enemies at once in a single move. In the forest, Si Chen steps his shoe onto a massive web of dead tree roots. He looks down at the center of the twisted roots. He raises his arm and clenches his fist. Bright yellow lightning sparks around his hand, and his eyes glow yellow. He says that he finally found it. He slams a huge bolt of lightning directly into the ground. The electricity shoots through the earth and the roots. A massive pillar of yellow lightning explodes from the ground. The powerful blast completely destroys the ground and throws multiple green ant monsters high into the air. The examiner shouts that Si Chen is going straight for the monster nest and asks if he has completely lost his mind. The examiner yells that there are dangerous D-rank monsters inside and warns that Si-Chen will get everyone killed. Gongting wonders if Si-Chen is actually going to attack them all. Si-Chen activates a lightning assassin skill called Flash God. He shoots forward with incredible speed. He moves in rapid zigzag lines across the battlefield. He strikes the giant green ant monsters one by one. Bright yellow light flashes as he kicks and punches the beasts with great force. In a final powerful attack, Si-Chen destroys all the monsters at the exact same time. He lands on the ground holding a yellow lightning blade as sliced pieces of the green monsters rain down around him. The three examiners look completely shocked, and the examiner with dreadlocks lowers his sunglasses and asks what Si-Chen just did. They explain that Si-Chen is only listed as an E-rank student, but he just wiped out many D-rank monsters at once. They wonder how to score him now, because they cannot fairly give him a low grade. The examiners sweat and whisper to each other, trying to find excuses to lower his score by calling his fighting style dangerously reckless, too narrow, or too repetitive. In the room, Principal Yuan Long laughs loudly and tells Carl Cavendish that he was right. Gonglin stands nearby and says the exam is already very interesting because of this spectacular clash. He clenches his fist tightly and states that he cannot wait to see how Cole responds to this. Suddenly, the blue viewing screen glitches with heavy static. A red warning box appears that says the signal is lost, leaving the men in the room confused. At 16, outside the dungeon, the large cave entrance suddenly vanishes. Director Gong Shua stands in front of the empty rock wall and yells in shock that the entrance just disappeared. Nearby, a technician looks nervously at his computer equipment. He tells his boss that they have no idea what is going on. He explains that the machine suddenly started showing signal errors and then just stopped working. Hearing this, Director Gong Shua shouts at his team to move quickly and call the command center right now. He loudly asks if something went horribly wrong inside the dungeon. Meanwhile, inside the dark dungeon forest, Si-Chen stops walking and looks back in surprise at the magical music. Gongting also looks up at the magic with a confused face. Suddenly, they all start hearing a weird noise. Caillou asks if anyone else is hearing that sound. Yuta Sato agrees and says yes, he hears it too, and adds that it sounds like some kind of strange music. Si-Chen suddenly looks very shocked and terrified as he realizes what the sound actually is. He says in his mind, "This is the Demon King Wrath's voice." He asks himself why Wrath's voice is coming from inside this dungeon. He thinks that this Demon King is not supposed to appear for another 3 years. Suddenly, loud noises start playing and red warning signs pop up all around the back of Si-Chen's head. The signs flash an alert that a highly dangerous creature is detected. Si-Chen thinks to himself that his demon heart is screaming another warning at him. Si-Chen realizes that there is something standing right behind him. In a wide view of the forest, heavy thud sounds echo through the trees. A creepy laugh echoes through the trees. Caillou nervously wonders what kind of terrifying creature is hiding in the thick mist. Deep inside the fog, 2 huge bright pink eyes suddenly glow. Then, a giant monster steps out completely. The monster is none other than a praying mantis insect. The mantis greets the humans, confidently mocking them for walking right into its trap. Yuta Sato is completely shocked and cannot believe that the giant monster is actually talking. He realizes that a monster capable of speaking must be a very powerful, high-tier C-rank creature. Looking past the giant insect towards Si-Chen and Gongting, the group is terrified. They wonder how such a dangerously strong monster could appear inside a low-level D-rank dungeon. They know this beast will easily kill all the examinees. Realizing the extreme danger, Yuta Sato quickly leaps forward. He summons a huge glowing pink axe in his hands. He lands firmly in front of Si-Chen and Gongting to protect them. He strongly commands everyone to quickly hide behind him for safety. Suddenly, the giant insect monster swings its massive blade arm incredibly fast. It completely slices off Yuta Sato's hand. His severed hand, still gripping the glowing pink axe, flies high into the air. Caillou and Ivan look completely shocked by the sudden attack. The giant insect monster moves incredibly fast, leaving a blurred trail behind it. With a loud thud, the beast violently stabs its huge, scythe arm right through Gongting's chest. Blood splatters heavily into the air as Gongting throws his head back in extreme pain. The monster cruelly declares that every single one of them is going to die. However, he refuses to give up, and with a powerful downward swing, he fiercely strikes back at the monster. The giant insect eyes widened in sudden surprise. With a loud bam, Gongting delivers a powerful kick to the creature's body. The strong force sends the monster sliding backward across the dirt path. Gongting turns his head slightly and says that because the monster managed to hurt him first, the rules of combat priority mean this battle belongs only to him. Gongting's eyes glow as he strictly warns Si-Chen not to interfere in the fight. Looking past Gongting, Si-Chen uses his power to scan the distant creature. A glowing sign pops up over the monster's head. The scan reveals that this dangerous beast is a C-rank mid-tier monster. The monster is actually a more dangerous C-rank high-tier creature. In the background, Ivan runs down the rocky hill and Caillou urgently yells at Gongting, She tells him that he needs medical treatment right away. She strongly suggests they stop the exam and escape immediately because the monster is far too powerful for him. Gongting quickly heals his chest with his hand and simply says no. Si-Chen realizes that Gongting is using the extreme heat of his own fire magic to burn and seal his bleeding cut. As smoke rises from Gongting's chest, he grips his sword, which now blazes with bright, hot flames. Gongting loudly shouts that the battle will not end until one of them is dead. The giant insect monster stares back at him with its huge pink eyes. Gongting leaps high into the air, gripping his sword with both hands, and swings his weapon down fiercely. At the solid rock wall where the dungeon entrance used to be, a man with long white hair stands looking at the blank wall alongside the man and several guards. The man calmly explains that they have seen dungeon entrances disappear like this before. He says this means a very smart monster is controlling the dungeon from the inside. This intelligent creature leaves the door open on purpose to trick humans into entering, and then it firmly shuts the trap to lock them inside. His name is Silas Lin, and he is the leader of the King Squad from the Imperial Guild. Right behind him, Director Gong Shua is panicking and asks Silas Lin what they are supposed to do now. He desperately asks if there is any way at all to force the dungeon entrance back open, because a man named Cole is still trapped inside. Silas Lin looks serious and explains that there is only one way to make the exit appear again. He says that someone trapped inside must find and kill the boss monster, known as the Overlord. Director Gong Shua smiles nervously and feels a little bit hopeful. He thinks that since it is supposed to be a weak D-rank dungeon, the boss is only a C-rank monster, which means the fighters inside might actually win. However, Silas quickly ruins his hope and explains that the D-rank reading was a complete lie because the boss monster was hiding its true strength on purpose to trick the scanners. He states that this specific dungeon is almost certainly the trap that caused all the other missing magic fighters to disappear. Director Gong Shua starts sweating and realizes the horrible truth. Silas finally reveals that they are actually dealing with an extremely dangerous B-rank dungeon. The giant insect monster attacks very fast, swinging its huge arms to create slashes. Gongting quickly blocks the rapid attacks, using his sword to stop the strikes. Gongting slides backward on the dirt, holding his weapon carefully. The monster lets out a loud growl and lifts its scythe to create a massive strike. With a heavy thud, the beast aggressively slams its massive blade down. However, the monster misses Gongting, and its sharp weapon gets completely stuck deep inside the rocky ground. The creature quickly realizes it is trapped. Seeing this perfect opportunity, Gongting leaps high into the air right above the monster, holding his sword and declaring that the beast has dropped its guard and he finally has the perfect chance to finish it off. He completely chops off the giant insect monster's head. The monster's severed head bounces across the rocky dirt. It finally rolls to a stop right in front of Si-Chen and Caillou. Caillou loudly says she cannot believe Gongting, whom she calls Cole, actually defeated the giant overlord boss all by himself. Looking at the victorious Gongting standing far away, Si-Chen thinks to himself that his strength is seriously impressive and nothing to laugh at. Meanwhile, Ivan sits on the ground and uses magic to heal Yuta Sato's completely severed arm. Yuta slowly opens his eyes and thanks Ivan for saving him just in time. Suddenly, Yuta notices his digital wrist bracelet. He quickly warns the group that his device just lost its connection. He nervously realizes that they are now completely cut off from the outside world and cannot call for help. Caillou confirms that her signal is also dead. She explains that their compass positioning system is completely broken too. Nearby, Yuta Sato looks nervously at the broken camera drone on the ground and asks when the drone stopped working. Suddenly, Gongting hears a strange noise and looks back. The headless body of the giant insect monster starts moving as bright green blood drips from its neck. The beast jumps high into the air and raises its sharp arm to attack Gongting from behind. Gongting turns around in complete shock. Right before the monster can hit him, Bright slashes rapidly across its body. With a loud smash, the giant monster is instantly cut into many flying pieces. Si-Chen stands right behind the monster's remains with his arm swung out, having quickly destroyed the beast to save Gongting. Glowing text appears near Si-Chen, showing he just gained 2,000 experience points. Gongting loudly asks how the creature was still able to move and attack after he had completely chopped off its head. Si-Chen strictly warns the rest of the group to escape the dungeon immediately. He explains that any of them could be the next person to get hypnotized by the strange magic. Gongting looks very confused, sweating slightly as he asks Si-Chen how he could possibly know that. Yuta Sato looks angry and yells, asking Si-Chen if he is crazy. Yuta explains that this dungeon is only supposed to have one C-rank overlord boss. Yuta argues that the beast they just killed was a very strong, high-tier C-rank creature. Because of its high power, Yuta firmly believes it had to be the final boss. Suddenly, Si-Chen looks terrified as red warning signs pop up all around his head, alerting him that another highly dangerous creature has been detected nearby. Deep inside the cave, a loud buzzing sound continues. The strange magical music reaches Caillou, and her eyes instantly instantly glow bright pink as she is hypnotized. The glowing pink magic also wraps around Ivan's head, making his eyes glow pink too. Yuta Sato is seen right behind Ivan as the mind-controlling spell takes over the group. Si-chen quickly plugs his ear with his finger to block out the magical sound. He thinks to himself that his warning came too late. Si-chen recognizes this strange sound immediately and remembers a terrible event from his past life. In another dark memory, Si-chen holds his sister in his arms. He recalls that the Demon King Wrath used this exact magical sound to hypnotize and murder millions of innocent humans all over the world. Back in the present, Si-chen watches his teammates closely. Kai-yu, Ivan, and Yuta Sato walk right past him like mindless zombies. Si-chen realizes that the true boss of this dungeon must be connected to the Demon King Wrath. He bravely follows behind them. He thinks to himself that it is finally time to meet this terrifying enemy face to face. The group walks slowly into the glowing cave opening. Inside the cave, Si-chen sees red warning signs suddenly popping up everywhere. The large room is completely covered in glowing green eggs. In the center stands a mysterious tall figure. Giant snake heads with pink eyes move around the figure. The hypnotized team walks mindlessly past a pile of skulls, bones, and broken weapons. Si-chen thinks to himself that this boss uses the exact same alpha soundwave magic as the Demon King Wrath to control minds. He explains that he is completely safe because he prepared a special beta audio track in his earbud to block the mind control. He brought it just in case he ever had to face Wrath again. However, Si-chen knows they have absolutely no protection against hypnosis and could drop dead at any moment. He realizes he has to destroy this monster extremely fast to save their lives. The boss monster looks down at the hypnotized humans. Speaking in a scary voice, the creature slowly says that the group looks like very rich and fresh flesh to eat. Si-chen stands his ground among his hypnotized teammates and glares fiercely at the monster. In a courtyard, an 8-year-old boy named Cole Gong stands panting heavily. He holds the broken stick while standing over another young boy who lies completely defeated and bleeding on the floor. His father watches the brutal fight and calmly tells Cole that he has won once again. The father then explains the cruel rules to the children. He tells Cole that the winner is allowed to come up the stairs and eat food at the table. Cole drops his weapon and walks toward his father. However, his father announces a harsh punishment for the loser. He orders Edmund to stay on the ground and kneel there until the sun comes up. Time passes, and the moon shines in the dark night sky. Edmund is still kneeling alone on the ground. He looks down sadly as his empty stomach loudly growls from hunger. Suddenly, a hand reaches out to offer a piece of bread to the hungry Edmund. It is his brother Cole, who is also covered in bruises and has a bandage on his head. Cole tells Edmund to take the food. Edmund looks up in surprise and whispers in fear. He nervously warns Cole that their father will punish him badly if he catches him helping. Cole simply tells his brother to be quiet and just eat the bread. Suddenly, Cole is hit violently across the face with a loud smack. After some time, Cole kneels on the floor, shaking in pain. His back is covered in fresh, bleeding cuts. The father looks down coldly and asks Cole if he wants to know why the Gong family is so successful and powerful today. The father explains his cruel belief. He states that the family is strong because he has never lost a single time in his life. He proudly declares that the winners are the ones who make all the rules. He coldly adds that the losers have no choice but to follow those rules. He asks his father if beating him in a fight means Cole will finally get to make the family rules. His father just smirks and laughs at the idea. Suddenly, a broken wooden training sword falls to the floor with loud clanging sounds. Cole is then coughing up a puddle of blood in extreme pain. In the background, Silas Lin stands holding a blue sword made of ice. Cole struggles and angrily asks his father a question. He wants to know why his father cheated by using Silas and the powerful King Squad to beat him when Cole had challenged him to a fair, one-on-one fight. The father explains that his true strength is not just about how hard he can punch. He tells Cole that real strength is the political power and influence he controls behind the scenes. The father continues his cruel lesson and tells his son that the real world does not follow fair or honorable rules. The father clenches his fist tightly and firmly declares that the only absolute truth in the world is to win, no matter what it takes. His father continues his harsh lesson. He tells Cole that how a person wins does not matter at all. Only the final result is important. He strictly demands that his son must always be in first place, even if he has to completely abandon his family, his loyalty, and all his dreams to achieve it. The father cruelly states that winning is the absolute only reason Cole is allowed to be alive. Young Cole looks down with sad eyes and deeply accepts this dark truth. He repeats to himself that winning is his only purpose for living. Back to the present inside the cave, Si-chen reminds himself that the monster uses an alpha sound wave to control minds, so his special beta audio track keeps him perfectly safe. However, he looks at his friends walking like zombies. He knows they have absolutely no protection and could drop dead at any moment. Realizing the extreme danger, Si-Chen decides he must kill the monster very fast to save them. Bright yellow lightning magic starts crackling fiercely around his hand. Gongting suddenly grabs Si-Chen's wrist from behind to stop his lightning attack. He quietly whispers to Si-Chen to hold on. Gongting tightly grabbed his own bloody chest wound. He hurts himself on purpose to cause extreme pain. Drops of fresh blood fall onto the rocky floor. Gongting tells Si-Chen, whom he calls Ash, that he does not know how Si-Chen escaped the mind control. However, Gongting explains that he is using the sharp pain from his open wound to stay awake and fight off the hypnosis. Gongting then leans in very close behind Si-Chen's shoulder. He seriously warns Si-Chen not to attack yet. He explains that if they make a move now, the monster will know they are awake, and all their hypnotized friends will be killed instantly. Gongting asks Si-Chen to look at the strange eggs. He explains that if they make a loud noise and trigger the eggs, dozens of dangerous C-rank monsters will hatch and attack them all at once. Gongting reveals the monster's evil plan. He explains that the boss purposely made this place look like a weak dungeon. It was a clever trap to trick human fighters into entering so the beast could kill them and drain their blood. Gongting is sweating as he seriously shares his plan. He tells Si-Chen that they should stay completely hidden because the monster will eventually come to them. He suggests that the second the terrifying beast gets close enough, they should strike it together and finish it off. Si-Chen calmly admits he is surprised Gongting came up with such a smart idea. However, Si-Chen explains why that plan will completely fail. He states that this powerful overlord boss does not even need to move a single muscle to fight them. Si-Chen explains that because of the strong mind control magic, the monster only needs to think one single thought. If the beast gets angry, it can simply command every single hypnotized person to commit suicide instantly. The horrifying truth of his warning is then shown. The hypnotized Yuta Sato smiles creepily while holding his glowing pink energy blade right against his own neck. Next to him, Kai-Yu points a loaded gun directly at her own head. Finally, Ivan uses both of his hands to tightly choke his own throat. Suddenly, Si-Chen moves incredibly fast and quickly strikes Ivan, Chai-Yu, and Yuta Sato one by one. He successfully knocks all three of them safely unconscious before they can actually hurt themselves. The boss monster looks completely shocked by his sudden interference. Looking down at the unconscious humans lying perfectly still on the dirt floor, the angry boss complains that its perfect meal has been ruined. Suddenly, the giant green eggs start to crack open with loud popping noises. The boss monster commands its hidden army to attack the humans. The monsters burst completely out of the eggs. They look just like the giant praying mantis monster from earlier. A system screen appears, revealing that these hatched creatures are C-rank monsters, known as Blade Arm Mantis Flower Assassins. A massive swarm of these dangerous mantis monsters stands up. They march forward to completely surround Si-Chen, Gongting, and their helpless, sleeping friends. Gongting realizes the situation is terrible and says it is time to use their emergency plan. He pulls his sword out of its dark sheath. He calls out to Si-Chen, asking him to do just one important thing. Gongting steps forward bravely, holding his sword ready, and strictly tells Si-Chen to grab the sleeping teammates and escape the dungeon immediately. He confidently promises to stay behind and keep the monster swarm busy. Si-Chen looks back in surprise, his eyes wide. Gongting honestly admits that he knows he cannot defeat all these monsters by himself, but he is sure he can buy Si-Chen enough time to run away. Suddenly, a mantis monster leaps fiercely through the air at him with a loud, scary shriek. Gongting quickly swings his flaming sword to block the beast's rapid strikes. Gongting explains that he feels responsible for this mess because he was the one who demanded the tiebreaker competition, which dragged everyone into this deadly trap. Kneeling on the dirt and panting heavily, he firmly states that this deadly trap is entirely his fault, so he must be the one to fix it and clean up the mess. Suddenly, Si-Chen steps forward confidently as a digital system screen pops up in front of his chest, showing that he is currently loading and switching his battle class. Si-Chen tells Gongting that he completely misunderstood him. He reminds Gongting that he was not the only person who agreed to the tiebreaker trial, meaning they share the blame. A new system screen appears above his head, finally revealing his true power. It shows that Si-Chen is actually a level 24 lightning assassin. Gongting watches in complete surprise from behind as Si-Chen stands bravely by his side. Si-Chen stands confidently and tells Gongting that he will handle the boss monster himself. Behind him, Gongting strongly disagrees and says they absolutely cannot beat this creature. He explains that he can feel the monster's massive strength is on a completely different level. He fears the beast is not just a B rank, but probably an extremely dangerous A rank monster. Looking at their three unconscious friends lying on the dirt ground. Gongting urgently begs Si-chen to grab them and run away, because escaping is their only chance to live. Si-chen agrees with Gongting that the monster is a complete nightmare. However, he explains that running away is impossible because the dungeon doors are already locked shut. He points out that if the exit was still open, the strong Imperial Guild would have already rushed inside to save them by now. Gongting looks completely shocked as he realizes the dungeon gates are really locked down. Si-chen's eyes suddenly glow bright blue with a loud buzzing sound. He uses his magic to scan the boss monster, a large question mark showing that its true power is completely unknown. Si-chen thinks carefully about the extreme danger. He realizes that if this boss is truly an A-rank monster, its fighting strength must be incredibly high. He compares its immense power to the terrifying Phantom Mane Lion King he found at the deepest level of the Dreadspire dungeon. Suddenly, one of the mantis monsters leaps forward to attack with a loud screech. Si-chen quickly defends himself and blocks the monster's heavy strike with his power. Right at that moment, a second mantis monster jumps through the air with a swoosh sound to attack Si-chen from above. Seeing this deadly surprise attack, Gongting loudly yells at Si-chen to watch out. Si-chen fiercely swings his weapon and violently strikes a jumping mantis monster, splashing green blood into the air. Suddenly, a huge swarm of terrifying mantis monsters charges right at them. The monsters roar and shriek loudly with their glowing pink eyes shining in the dark. Gongting sweats heavily and worriedly tells Si-chen that fighting is useless now. He explains that with so many monsters closing in on them, it is only a matter of time before they are totally defeated. However, Si-chen raises his hand as yellow lightning crackles around his fingers. His eyes glow a fierce yellow as he gathers his power. A system screen appears, showing that he is using his special lightning assassin skill called Electric Blade. With a powerful swing of his arm, Si-chen shoots the lightning blades directly at the rushing monster swarm. The blades fly incredibly fast and pierce straight through multiple mantis monsters at the exact same time. He activates a powerful lightning assassin skill called Flash God. Moving incredibly fast, he turns into a blur of yellow lightning and instantly slices off several monster heads at the exact same time, splashing thick green blood everywhere. Gongting watches with wide eyes and loudly says that Si-chen's amazing fighting ability is completely impossible. Si-chen quickly leaps up and violently slashes another giant mantis monster across the chest. Gongting thinks carefully about Si-chen's fighting class. He explains to himself that assassin fighters normally have very weak basic strength, which usually makes them completely useless when fighting a massive swarm of enemies. However, Si-chen fiercely cuts another beast completely in half with another strike. Gongting realizes that every single attack Si-chen makes perfectly hits the monster's weakest vital points. Si-chen quickly ducks low to the ground to slice one beast, and then jumps high into the air to cut down several more with rapid lightning strikes. Gongting explains that Si-chen is completely making up for his low physical power by using incredible speed and perfect fighting technique. Gongting is amazed by how incredibly fast his teammate is moving. Si-chen turns into a blur, leaping through the air and slicing many giant mantis monsters all at once. Gongting realizes that Si-chen's speed is definitely at the A-rank level or even higher. Feeling a sudden rush of hope, Gongting grips his sword tightly and confidently declares that they might actually be able to win this fight together. However, the boss monster suddenly gets very angry and yells at them to stop talking. The boss's glowing pink eye as it casts a powerful ultimate enhancement spell. Several system text lines rapidly pop up over the creatures, showing that the boss is massively boosting their strength and stamina. The mantis monsters grow incredibly large and powerful as it towers over Si-chen. The angry boss monster fiercely commands its army to chop Si-chen into pieces right now. Si-chen prepares himself for the attack. A mantis arm slams heavily into the ground. However, Si-chen quickly jumps high into the air to dodge the deadly strike. He violently slashes its back with his electric blade, splashing thick blood. Seeing the extreme danger, Gongting loudly calls out to Si-chen and desperately tells him to hang in there. Si-chen glances back intensely and then dashes forward incredibly fast. He unleashes a rapid flurry of bright yellow lightning strikes, fiercely cutting through multiple giant, super-powered mantis monsters all at once. Suddenly, a huge beast lunges right at him from the background. He quickly turns around and dodges the sneaky attack. He immediately strikes back with incredible speed. As his blade chops the monster into pieces, splashing green blood everywhere, another mantis swings its massive arm directly at him. Si-chen blocks the heavy strike with his arm, creating a huge, bright explosion of sparks. The force of the powerful attack is so strong that it pushes Si-chen sliding far back across the ground. Si-chen thinks carefully about the monster's new strength. He realizes that the boss monster's magic has made these creatures much stronger. He notes that every single stat on these enhanced beasts has now reached the dangerous B-rank level. He realizes the battle is much harder now. He thinks to himself that the monster's outer shells have become as hard as solid iron. Because of this tough armor, he knows he cannot easily pierce their weak spots spots anymore. Si-chen decides he must find a way to crack their hard shells open first before he can hurt them. Suddenly, Gong-ting yells loudly and calls out to thank Si-chen. Gong-ting is completely draining his stamina, speed, and other skills to massively boost his physical strength. Gong-ting confidently shouts that Si-chen has successfully bought him enough time to prepare this incredibly powerful attack. At 17:30, inside a small apartment, Anna walks through the door carrying a yellow grocery bag. She looks a bit tired and apologizes to her friend for being late. She explains that buying the drinks took much longer than she expected. Iris greets her warmly with a smile. She tells Anna not to worry about the time because her brother has not come back home yet either. Anna looks surprised and asks why he is still out. Anna asks Iris if her brother knows the great news that she passed her Academy of Arts exam. Iris shakes her head and says he does not know yet. However, she mentions that she told him she had something very important to tell him today. Iris figures her brother is just running a little late. She tells Anna that they should just go ahead and start eating without him. Suddenly, Iris looks at the jar in surprise and wonders when they completely ran out of garlic sauce. Iris puts on her jacket to go outside and asks Anna to wait at the apartment while she and Leo go on a quick run to the store. She excitedly tells Anna that she will also buy some extra snacks so they can celebrate her good news properly tonight. Anna happily agrees to stay behind. A little while later, Iris walks out of a small neighborhood grocery store named Jay's. She holds a brown paper bag full of items as the shopkeeper inside thanks her for the payment. Walking back home, Iris gently holds her bag and smiles warmly. She happily says that Leo is acting like a little angel because he has not made a single sound the entire trip. Inside of her bag, Leo is happily hiding inside, loudly munching on a tasty snack while keeping completely quiet. Iris happily laughing and hugging her fluffy pet. She smiles and tells Leo that he is a very good boy, promising to buy him cookies the next time they go out. As she walks away, some men secretly watch her from a hidden corner. The man in the beanie confirms to his partner that he has his eyes on Iris, the man's dirty hand holding a small photograph of Iris wearing her school uniform. Looking at the picture, the creepy man eagerly asks his partner if they should move in and grab her right now. A voice from a small earpiece speaks, telling him to stay calm and keep following Iris. The boss strictly orders the men to wait until they are completely out of the security cameras' view before they attack her. The man smiles wickedly and agrees to the evil plan. Iris is walking down the street while, right behind her, the bad men loudly tap on the ground as they follow her path. Iris suddenly stops, smiling, and looks back over her shoulder. She is very alert and realizes that these two men have been secretly following her ever since she stepped out of the grocery store. She thinks to herself, wondering what exactly these dangerous guys want from her. Just behind her, the men continue to follow her closely. Leo pokes his head out of the paper bag, and he lets out a low, angry growl. Iris notices this and asks Leo if he also senses the dangerous men behind them. To protect him, she quickly hugs the brown paper bag tightly against her chest. She softly whispers to her pet, strictly telling him to stay hidden inside and not to come out at all. Looking back over her shoulder and a drop of sweat on her face, she bravely thinks to herself that tonight has just become very interesting. Inside the dungeon, Si-chen thinks about the extreme danger of his current battle, realizing that the boss monster's magic has made the giant mantis creatures much stronger. He notes that every single skill of these enhanced monsters has now reached the highly dangerous B-rank level. He looks up at a massive mantis monster and thinks about how the monster's outer shells are now as hard as solid iron. He realizes that his attacks cannot easily pierce through to their weak spots anymore. He knows he must find a way to crack their tough armor open first. Suddenly, Gong-ting loudly thanks Si-chen, calling him Ash. As the system screen appears, showing that Gong-ting is purposely draining his own speed, stamina, and magic control to massively boost his physical strength. Gong-ting's power reaches its absolute maximum limit. He confidently shouts that the extra time Si-chen bought for him allowed him to finally unleash his ultimate attack. Gong-ting swings his sword with all his might to unleash his ultimate move, a powerful skill called Extreme Blaze Rift. Gong-ting shouts fiercely, declaring that he does not care if the enemy is a powerful A-rank overlord because he will completely blast it into nothing. The massive wall of fire crashes directly into the giant mantis monsters. The powerful wave of fire crashes directly into the boss monster with a loud boom. Instantly, a massive explosion completely fills the area with another huge boom. After the giant attack, Gong-ting knee heavily drops to the hard ground with a loud bam. He sweats and pants heavily while leaning on his sword just to stay upright. He groans in pain and tiredness. The warning text text shows that his stamina, mental control, and magic control are all completely empty. Gongting looks very tired and feels relieved, and whispers that the fierce battle is finally over. The battlefield is completely covered with the dead bodies of the giant mantis monsters. Suddenly, a voice speaks from the flames. The boss monster laughs wickedly at them. It mocks Gongting and asks if that attack was really the best he could do. Hearing this terrifying voice, Gongting opens his eyes wide in pure shock. Behind him, Si-Chen also turns his head in surprise. They realize that the powerful boss monster easily survived the huge explosion, the boss monster standing completely unhurt in the fire. He called Gongting a human and mocking him by saying his attack was very disappointing. Gongting looks completely pale and terrified. He thinks to himself in total despair that he used every single drop of his energy for that fiery strike. Gongting cannot believe that his ultimate move did not even leave a single scratch on it. Si-Chen carefully watches the beast and figures out exactly how it survived the massive explosion. He realizes that right before the fire hit, the monster sucked all the magic energy out of the eggs. It used that stolen power to build a super strong shield that could block any attack. Nearby, Gongting leans heavily on his sword. He sadly asks himself if this is really how they are going to die. Suddenly, Si-Chen steps forward and stands in front of Gongting. Si-Chen calls him by his real name, Cole, and suggests that they make a deal. A system screen pops up in front of him, showing that he is currently loading and switching his fighting class. Si-Chen explains his deal to Cole. He promises to let Cole take the first place win for the exam, but he demands that the entire 1 million prize money must go to him. Si-Chen's hand tightly gripping a new weapon handle. He tells Cole that there is one strict condition for their deal. Si-Chen then transforms and holds a massive weapon in his hand. A new system screen pops up above his head to reveal his second secret power. It shows that he is now a level 24 Infernal Rakshasa. Si-Chen seriously warns Cole to never tell anyone a single word about the secret power he is about to see. Cole stutters in pure disbelief and understands the amazing truth, and asks if Si-Chen is actually a very rare dual-class user, which means he can fight using two completely different classes. Suddenly, on the ground, bright pink magic energy starts floating up from the dead bodies of the defeated mantis monsters. This glowing energy flies directly into Si-Chen. A system screen appears and reveals his terrifying new skill called Ossuary Collapse. This dark power drains the leftover strength and stamina from all the dead bodies nearby, and turns it completely into his own energy. Many text alerts pop up, showing that Si-Chen's strength and stamina are rapidly increasing. Cole watches this incredible display from a distance. He is completely amazed by Si-Chen's overwhelming new power. The boss monster stares shocked by the sudden burst of power. As Si-Chen breathes out a puff of white smoke, the screen shows that his stamina and strength have reached their absolute maximum limits. Looking incredibly powerful, Si-Chen confidently speaks to Cole. He reminds Cole of their earlier agreement and firmly declares that he will defeat this dangerous boss monster all by himself. The boss monster has a powerful spell called Soul Rest. A giant green magic shield quickly forms around the boss to protect it. Cole grabs his head in terrible pain, and his hand bleeds. He angrily curses because the monster's mind control hypnosis is taking over his brain again. However, Si-Chen stands perfectly still as the magic swirls all around his body, but he is completely unaffected. The boss monster looks very confused by this. The beast angrily asks why its strong hypnosis magic is not working on Si-Chen at all. Si-Chen ignores the monster, and now holds a weapon in his hand. Seeing this, the angry boss monster decides to use its ultimate attack. With loud slamming noises, the monster announces its finishing move. The beast unleashes a terrifying attack called Sonic Hell from inside its green shield. The monster's powerful magic storm hits the ground with loud sounds. Cole falls to his knees and holds his sword to stay upright. He groans in pain as the strong magic crashes into him with a heavy thud noise. However, Si-Chen stands perfectly fine inside the dangerous storm. He steps forward with a loud tap of his boot. He walks calmly through the swirling storm right towards the monster's green shield. The boss monster says this is impossible, and loudly asks why its strongest attack cannot hurt Si-Chen at all, as the angry boss orders the giant snake to bite Si-Chen and tear his body into shreds. Si-Chen tightly grips his jagged weapon and swings the blade with incredible power and slices completely through the giant purple snakehead. With a loud thud, thick blood splashes into the air as the severed head crashes to the dirt. Suddenly, two more massive snakes lunge down at him with loud boom. Si-Chen does not panic. He leaps high into the air and violently swings his glowing pink weapon. He rapidly chops the extra snakeheads into falling bloody pieces. After destroying the terrifying snakes, Si-Chen dashes forward very fast with loud tapping footsteps. He jumps straight toward the boss monster hiding inside its green magic shield. The boss tells Si-Chen to save his breath and stop trying. He hears the monster brag about its perfect defense and calmly asks, "Oh really?" The system shows his powerful skill called Ossuary Collapse, which constantly drains energy from the dead monsters to make him even stronger. Si-Chen's eyes glow with blinding white light. A system message confirms that his physical strength has now reached its absolute maximum limit. Using all of this unstoppable power, a heavy strike hits the green shield. The boss monster looks completely shocked and asks what just happened. Cole is amazed that Si-Chen broke the strong barrier with only one hit. Cole loudly asks Si-Chen what kind of person he really is. With a loud boom, he prepares another powerful attack. A system screen shows he is using a skill called Triple Cataclysm in crushing mode. Si-Chen strikes the boss monster. The powerful hit creates a huge explosion. Smoke and dirt fly everywhere as the attack crashes into the hard ground. Slowly, the smoke clears away. The boss monster lies completely defeated in the center of the deep hole. The broken beast weakly says that losing to a human is impossible. Si-Chen has turned back into his normal human and looks down coldly at the beaten monster. He strictly orders the beast to talk and demands to know its connection to the Demon King Wrath. The monster asks how Si-Chen could possibly know the name of Lord Wrath. Si-Chen fiercely demands the monster to tell him everything. The monster's body has turned dark, melting goo with one glowing eye. It tells Si-Chen that if it actually knew where Wrath was, it would not be sitting here defeated. Instead, it would break Lord Wrath's seal. Hearing this, Si-Chen looks very surprised. He thinks to himself in complete shock, wondering if someone actually managed to seal the powerful Demon King away. Suddenly, the monster starts to laugh loudly and crazily. The monster transforms into a dark shadow surrounded by bright green flames. The creepy shadow laughs again and tells Si-Chen to just wait because Lord Wrath will definitely rise again. It declares that Lord Wrath will take back his demon armies and brutally slaughter every single human right down to the bone. After shouting this, the dark smoke completely disappeared. Si-Chen stands alone at the edge of the large crater. The glowing pink orb flies quickly through the air. Si-Chen holds out his bare hand, and the magic energy swirls directly into his palm. A system screen appears with a loading bar as he completely devours the monster's power. Next, a system card pops up to confirm the process is finished. The card reveals that the defeated boss was a phantom sorcerer and lists all of its powerful magic skills. Suddenly, a system announces that Si-Chen has successfully leveled up to level 25. Si-Chen holds the new green monster card and looks at the card with a very serious face and thinks deeply about the Demon King. He realizes that Wrath did not just suddenly appear out of nowhere many years ago. He understands that the Demon King was actually hiding in this world long before anyone ever knew. He notes that some unknown, powerful force managed to seal the monster away. He admits to himself that something huge happened back then, and he knows absolutely nothing about it. Suddenly, Si-Chen turns his head to look over his shoulder as he notices something behind him. Cole was coughing and covered in blood. He admits to Si-Chen that he never expected him to be a powerful dual-class user. Looking at Si-Chen in the giant crater, Cole confesses that Si-Chen is on a completely different level of strength. Cole honestly accepts his defeat and tells Si-Chen that he won the fight. Si-Chen looks back over his shoulder as Cole makes a serious promise. Cole swears he will keep Si-Chen's secret forever and take it to his grave. Suddenly, Cole coughs up a mouthful of blood in extreme pain. With a loud bam, he falls to his knees, leaning heavily on his sword while coughing. Si-Chen looks at the injured Cole and tries to comfort him. He explains that since the boss monster is dead, the dungeon exit should be completely open now. He tells Cole to hold on just a little bit longer because the rescue guild will rush inside to save them any second. Right after saying this, Si-Chen suddenly freezes in complete shock. His eyes instantly glow bright. Through his glowing pink eye, Si-Chen suddenly sees a terrifying vision. In his mind, he sees a man standing surrounded by dark shadows. Realizing the extreme danger, Si-Chen completely freezes in shock and worriedly calls out his sister's name, Iris. From high above the narrow street, we see Iris walking alone. She suddenly looks back over her shoulder and realizes that two suspicious men have been secretly following her ever since she left the store, and she wonders exactly what they want from her. Just behind her, two creeping men continue to follow her closely. Suddenly, her fluffy Leo pokes his head out of her bag, and he lets out an angry growl. Iris notices this and asks Leo if he senses the danger too. To keep him safe, she tightly hugs her paper bag against her chest and strictly whispers to Leo to stay completely hidden inside. Iris does not look scared at all. She sweats slightly but glares back, thinking to herself that tonight has just become very interesting. She then remembers the most important safety rule for when someone is following you. The rule is to quickly get to a crowded place. Following this smart plan, Iris walks down a set of outdoor stairs and heads straight into a very busy street. She knows that Restaurant Row is full of people at this time of the evening, hoping the large crowd will protect her from the bad men. Iris quickly walks into the busy crowd. She makes a smart plan in her head to blend in with all the people. Behind her, the two scary men struggle to push through the busy street. The man gets angry and yells at the crowd to move out of his way. Iris keeps walking forward and waits for the perfect moment. She thinks to herself that the second the bad guys look away, she will completely vanish. Suddenly, she disappears from their sight. The two men are completely shocked and ask where she went, realizing they have completely lost her in the large crowd. Meanwhile, Iris runs away and hides in a quiet, narrow back alley filled with boxes and pipes. She looks back over her shoulder and happily says that the scary men are finally gone. But suddenly, a shoe steps down right in front of her, completely blocking her path. A man smokes a cigarette and tells her that he has been waiting forever because her door was locked. Iris stops and angrily asks who they are and how they know where she lives. She then looks back and sees the two scary thugs from the street running up behind her. The man in the beanie laughs and says that she can run really fast. Trapped, Iris quickly tries to sprint away down the alley with fast tapping footsteps. The three men chase after her while the man laughs loudly. Suddenly, sharp blue ice crystals shoot out of the ground and completely freeze her foot. Iris trips and falls hard onto the ground with a heavy BAM, crying out in pain as she drops her bag. The man walks up to Iris. His hand glows with bright blue ice magic. He cruelly mocks her, asking if the little girl is completely tired out. He coldly tells her to take a little rest. The creepy man is drooling and laughs wickedly. He reaches his hand out to grab her. He cruelly tells her that she is going to keep him entertained for a while. Iris screams out loud in fear. Suddenly, a massive paw violently punches the thug right in the face. With a loud bam, the heavy punch sends the thug flying backward through the air. He crashes hard onto the stone stairs. The man stands nearby and watches this happen in complete shock. Next, a claw steps heavily onto the ground with a loud thud. Leo is completely surrounded by a bright pink magical aura and angry growl at the bad men. Iris looks at Leo and slowly stammers his name. The man screams in pain and asks where Leo came from. He complains that the person who hired them never warned them about dealing with a monster like this. Leo opens its mouth wide and lets out a terrifying, loud roar. The second thug in the hoodie screams in pure terror as he holds up his fists, which suddenly glow with bright yellow magic. However, with a quick poof of smoke, Leo loses his power. He instantly shrinks back down to his normal and falls onto his back on the hard ground. Iris worriedly shouts Leo's name again as she sees her tiny pet lying helpless on the floor. She kneels on the ground and gently holds her small pet and asks him if he is okay. The man looks disappointed and says he thought the pet was special. Suddenly, tentacles burst out of the ground with loud snap. The man walks forward as he controls the tentacles and mocks the tiny pet. He complains that the beast could not even stay transformed for 10 seconds. With loud swish sounds, the tentacles swirl quickly around Iris. She hugs Leo tightly to protect him. She steps back in fear and loudly tells the man to stay back. The scary man walks right up to her and traps her inside the tentacles. He looks very angry and tells Iris not to waste his time. He asks if she is going to take it off herself. The man glares at Iris and threatens her, asking if he has to forcefully take the pet from her himself. Suddenly, a system screen appears, revealing a stellar tamer skill called Stellar Warp. This special magic allows a person to instantly teleport directly to their pet beast. Out of nowhere, Si-Chen violently stomps his foot straight down onto the man's head, crushing him face first into the ground and splashing blood everywhere. The incredibly heavy strike creates a massive shockwave that blows the other two thugs backward. The man is blasted straight through nearby and breaks it into flying pieces. Si-Chen calmly apologizes to Iris for being late. He explains that a sudden problem came up and took much longer than he expected. He then gently asks if she and Leo are okay. Watching this, the thug in the hoodie sweats in pure terror. He nervously curses and wonders where this incredibly strong guy just came from out of nowhere. Iris loudly tells him that she does not know how these men track them down, but she warns him that they are all dangerous magic users called Awakeners. She panics and asks what they should do now. Si-Chen smiles calmly at her and tells her to take a deep breath because he has got her safe. Suddenly, a hand bursts straight through the wall. The man has recovered from the heavy stomp. Glowing green vines quickly wrap around his arm as he curses, complaining that he let his guard down. He furiously yells at Si-Chen, calling him a punk, and says he just made the biggest mistake of his life. The man threatens to bring both of their heads back to his boss and force him to pay triple the original rate. Si-Chen completely ignores the angry man. He calmly tells Iris to get behind him and stay there. He confidently states that fighting these thugs will not take long at all. In his flashback, a group of cruel bullies violently beats up young Si-Chen. The boy angrily yells at Si-Chen. He calls him a disgusting little parasite and asks if he is still refusing to behave. As Si-Chen covers his head on the ground to block the heavy blows, the leader orders his friends to beat him right into the dirt. Suddenly, someone shouts at the bad guys to stop. The boy turns around in surprise and sees Iris bravely stepping forward while holding a heavy metal pipe. She fiercely tells the bullies to keep their hands completely off her brother. The boy looks annoyed and cruelly mocks her, asking if the little parasite really thinks she can come to the rescue. The boy then starts walking straight towards Iris to hurt her, causing her to scream in fear. Seeing this terrible danger, Si-Chen desperately reaches out his hand from the ground. He angrily warns the bully not to take a single step closer to his sister. Si-chen fiercely reminds the cruel leader that he made a strict promise to never lay a hand on Iris. The bully smiled wickedly and confidently admits that he lied about his promise not to hurt Iris. He laughs loudly and cruelly, says it is not his fault because she walked right up to them herself. While he laughs, another large bully holds Si-chen down on the dirt floor. Suddenly, Si-chen grabs a heavy brick from the ground with a loud clack. With a powerful pow, Si-chen violently smashes the brick directly into the large bully's face. The brick breaks into pieces, and the big bully falls backward in pain. The boy turns around and looks completely shocked. Si-chen quickly stands up, holding a piece of the broken brick in his hand. He looks incredibly angry and glares at the leader. With fast tapping footsteps, Si-chen charges straight toward the boy to protect his sister. Si-chen angrily yells that the bully has a lot of nerve to break his promise. The boy looks completely terrified as young Si-chen charges at him. With a loud pow, Si-chen violently smashes the broken brick directly into the leader's face. Si-chen angrily yells that the bully broke his promise not to hurt Iris. The heavy strike sends the boy flying backward into the dirt. The bully lies on the ground with a very bloody face, crying and screaming in terrible pain. He looks up in fear and yells that Si-chen is completely insane and out of his mind. In the background, young Si-chen pants heavily but stands bravely in front of young Iris to protect her. He gently tells his sister that everything is okay and not to be scared. He strictly tells her to stay safely hidden behind him and not to move at all, then smoothly changes back to the present day in the alleyway. Older Si-chen stands in the exact same protective pose in front of older Iris, who is tightly holding her pet Leo. He looks fierce and confidently tells her that defeating these men will not take long. Right in front of him, the two thugs rush forward to attack. One thug is covered in glowing yellow magic, and the other holds a glowing blue weapon. They charge straight at Si-chen, while the man covered in green thorny vines watches from the far back. Iris looks very worried and sweats in fear. She nervously points out that there are 3 dangerous magic users standing right in front of them. She states that these men look completely desperate and have nothing to lose. She strongly believes there is absolutely no way her brother Ash can fight all 3 of them by himself. Suddenly, the thug in the hoodie rushes forward with his fist covered in bright yellow lightning. He angrily calls Ash a pretty boy and cruelly mocks him for just standing still during the fight. However, Ash easily defends himself. Ash violently punches the lightning thug. The powerful strike sends the bad guy flying backward to crash hard against the brick wall, splashing blood everywhere. Iris watches her brother's incredible strength in pure shock. Right after that, the second thug, wearing a beanie, quickly charges in with fast tapping footsteps. He jumps high into the air and fiercely swings down a blue dagger, but Ash remains perfectly calm. He simply reaches his arm up and tightly catches the thug's wrist with his bare hand, completely stopping the deadly blade before it can even touch him. Still holding the second thug's arm, Si-chen delivers a fierce kick right to the man's face with a loud pow. The powerful hit sends the thug flying backward. He crashes heavily into a wall, and some trash cans break the boxes around him. Suddenly, the dangerous vine slashes right past Si-chen's face. However, Si-chen does not even flinch and stands perfectly still. The vine misses him completely and violently strikes the brick wall behind him. The man growls in anger and cruelly mocks Si-chen, calling him nothing but a skinny kid in a simple school uniform. Surrounded by multiple vines, the man charges forward with a loud yell. He heavily threatens to pierce Si-chen with the thorns and turn him into a human pincushion. He quickly flips and dodges every single sharp vine with incredible speed. He easily moves right past the dangerous magic. In an instant, he jumps directly in front of the man. The cruel man is completely shocked and sweats in pure fear. His eyes open wide as he loudly asks himself how this is even possible, wondering what kind of amazing move Si-chen just used to get so close. Watching this incredible speed from the side, Iris opens her eyes wide in realization. She admits to herself that she almost forgot a very important detail. As Si-chen swings his fist back for a powerful strike, Iris remembers that her brother Ash did not just pass his combat graduation exam, he actually completely dominated the competition and took first place overall. With a brutal hit, Si-chen violently punches the man right in the jaw. Blood flies into the air from the extremely heavy strike. Iris proudly realizes that her brother is not just a normal magic user, but he is actually on a completely different and much higher level of strength than these thugs. The powerful punch sends the man flying high into the air. Blood splashes heavily from his face. He crashes violently into a brick wall and trash cans. The heavy hit shatters the wall and sends broken pieces flying everywhere. He falls to the ground with a loud wham. His face is completely covered in blood, and he is knocked out cold. Si-chen stands calmly behind his defeated enemy. The other 2 thugs, the man in the beanie and the man in the hoodie, are also shown completely beaten and bleeding. They slump unconscious against the trash bins and walls in the alley. With all 3 bad guys defeated, the fight is finally over. Si-chen looks back toward his sister. He tells Iris to take little Leo and go straight home right now. Si-chen smiles gently at her. He explains his plan, saying he will drop these clowns off at the guard station to get them arrested. He promises her that he will be back home before she even knows it. Iris holds her fluffy pet tightly in her arms. She looks very relieved and happy. She quickly agrees to his plan and safely replies, "Okay, you got it." Later that night, the man groans and slowly opens his eyes. He wakes up to find himself and his two friends tightly tied to a large concrete pillar with thick ropes on an empty rooftop. Si-chen stands quietly right in front of them. The man panics and loudly asks where they are and why Si-chen dragged them out here. Next to him, the thug in the beanie groans in extreme pain, complaining that his head feels like it is cracking in half. Si-chen states that he knows they are from a group called the Black Mountain Society. He explains that this group only does things for money. Si-chen strictly demands to know exactly who paid them to attack his sister. The man just smiles with his missing teeth and laughs. He tells Si-chen that since he is only in it for the money, he will never talk. He explains that the exact moment he reveals the boss's name, he will be a dead man in this business. Si-chen simply replies, "Well then." A system screen appears above his head, showing that he is loading and switching his battle class. Si-chen glares fiercely at the men and confidently declares that if they will not talk, they will have to do this the hard way. A system screen pops up to announce that the class switch is completely finished. A new title shows that he is now a level 25 Phantom Sorcerer, a system card for his new Phantom Sorcerer class. It explains all of his new amazing powers and shows his high stats for speed, strength, and stamina. The card also summarizes his 3 new magic skills in detail. The first skill is Soul Rest Enigma, which lets him hypnotize and completely control any enemy weaker than him. The second skill is Ripple Hell, which shoots a massive mind blast to destroy everything nearby. The third skill is Spirit Gathering Barrier, which allows him to steal magic energy from his hypnotized targets to build a super strong shield.